Body no pop down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. See your body, girl, it look like room. Body no pop down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God, you know. Rock out.
slap to your side, a push on my foolish pride. I'm out of my mind. I'm down from the endless high. Don't know who's losing, who's bruising, who's choosing to stick it through. So we fight with fire. Still on a wire. We fight with fire. Burn with your light. You bleed with the tears I cry. Don't know who's losing, who's bruising, who's choosing to stick it through. So we fight with fire. Still on a wire.
I hope that one day you'll find me again. We can run to the top of the mountains. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, would you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? Just give me a hand and we'll run far from here, away from curfews you have and all those things you hold dear. It would be stupid to throw it away, so let's get out on this boat and stop your crying for days. I wanna see the sea, but amazingly I'm too scared of water, too scared of water. And I hope that one day you'll find me again. We can run to the top of the mountains. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, would you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? To go far, all we need is to try hard. No, we don't need to be clear. We need our best thoughts held dear. We need escape from here. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, would you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? Show me all you know. Tell me what you know, and show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know, and show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know, and show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know, and show me your love.
These manic thoughts won't go away. I hope you're thinking and feel the same. Your silhouette, it dissipates into the ceiling. I'm wide awake under the starlight. Replay the memories that we made. I see the shape of your face. I don't wanna fade, don't wanna turn the page. Is this make-believe? I don't wanna turn around, 'cause all I can see is everything I want right now. It's particles of you floating all around me. It's particles of you here to remind me. this make believe. I don't wanna turn around, 'cause all I can see is everything I want right now. It's particles of you floating all around me. It's particles of you are here to remind me. It's particles of you. It's particles of you.
Now my bass
Well, it's just that whole grassroots esports stuff. You sort of watch it on telly. It seems like it's quite difficult to get into, but this is a great first step onto the ladder, getting you into the gist of things and how things roll. You can come here, you can enjoy yourself. It's not always a tense atmosphere. It's you get that bit of competitive edge about you because you understand what it is, and it's also great because everyone's in the same area. It's a lot of team cohesion goes on. It's just nice to spend time with people. I'm Ryan, my gamer tag is Rain, and I currently compete in Overwatch. I've never really done anything with esports. I used to play American football, so I'm quite team orientated anyway. I've got quite a good discipline when it comes to team sports, I guess. I bleed blue. I've been preparing since the last season ended. It's been non-stop. I've been learning, I've been grinding. That sounds really weird. But I've been trying my best. I've been learning a lot. I think the main thing for me is the atmosphere. It's sitting next to people. Everyone's feeling the same emotion, I guess, whether you're winning, whether you're losing. It's a team bonding thing. It's just great for everyone to be in the same place. You get that win, you share it with everyone. Everyone's feeling the same. It just beats sitting at home, really. You're sitting at home, I sort of shout, yeah, I won. My girlfriend doesn't care. She really doesn't care. I play for the Lakeside Leviathans. Esports starts here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final group stage of this season of Belong.gg's Arena Clash. That's Gio. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and I'm reasonably certain this is a big black ice cream. So give me a second. No, it's a microphone. It's a microphone, guys. It's a microphone. I was wrong. How's it going, Gio? How's life?
It's going pretty good. Although, actually, all I can think about right now is the fact I'm really hungry and I'm going to have pasta after the podcast. So that's how it's going.
Don't fall into the same mistake I just made. It's definitely a microphone, not an ice cream.
Mine doesn't look quite like an ice cream. Mine is very much a microphone,
It looks a little different. I was peering over like we're on the opposite side of the desk. We're clearly not. So slight change to today's scheduled broadcast. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring you the first game that we had scheduled. We are instead going to be bringing you what I think is a match that is going to slap. It's Steelers versus Lionhearts competing for the number one spot in their group. This is going to be such a good match.
This one's going to be great, especially as I personally have got a stake in this match because one of these teams is my local team, and I agree. They are very. Producer telling me I'm biased. I don't care. They are very, very good teams, very high skilled. We've definitely seen Lionhearts play already in the group stages. We've seen the Steelers as well, actually. I was going to say, I don't think we've seen Steelers, but that would be a massive lie. So both of these teams are really good. As you say, it's going to slap. Which I didn't expect you to say, but I'm actually super excited. It's going to be the best game that we could have started on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame that we didn't get to broadcast the players that we were going to broadcast, but unfortunately, this sometimes happens. But let's have a look and break it down. What's going to happen? Where are we in the final week of games? So this is Group 1, and it's looking very likely that this is going to be who's going through. Spartans were always a bit of a favourite in this group to move up.
There was always a question mark because, or at least this season, because they lost one of their key players in Padshak. And so whether or not they were going to be able to keep up to that kind of notoriety that they set for themselves last season by winning it, especially as they've lost, they've had a number of roster changes. So it's actually really nice to see them sitting up there with Swarm at the top of the table, most likely going to be going through into playoffs.
Yeah, but moving over to look at what's going to happen over in group number 2. So talking about players that moved on, we just talked about Spartans, and they had a player move over to Pirates. And the team they're now playing for is right up there alongside former champion Saints.
Yeah, Saints have, I don't know, they obviously slipped a little bit from the top last season, coming in second, and now they're, almost definitely going to be making it into playoffs, still doing pretty good, but they have been another one of these teams that have had a few changes and been getting used to them over time. Pirates, as you say, they were the recipient of Padshak, and it is made up of some very, very high-skill players, so unsurprising to see them sitting at the top of the table right there.
Yeah, and of course, we are going to be seeing Pirates playing later today in our Game 2, all being well. But let's have a look at Group 3, and this is the group from which we're having a match today. Steelers and Lionhearts both sat at 4-4. Who's going to be playing for that undefeated spot at the top of the group?
Yeah, and it's really nice to see Lionheart sitting closer to the top of this table because last season they did come in at the end at the 19th seed. So this is like the Shanghai Dragons of Arena Clash because they did fairly terribly last season. They made a load of changes to their roster, and now they're one of the best teams that we have in the tournament. And that makes them very, very exciting to watch and follow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did tweet about this earlier in the week. It really wouldn't surprise me to see Lionhearts right up at the semi-finals, even the finals. But looking into, that'd be great. Nice Cinderella story. Final group, group number 4. Claymores and Invincibles currently looking to be the team that comes through from this group.
Yeah, this is one of those groups that has always been a little bit close. Like, it's never had, like, really terrible teams or really amazing teams. Claymores, I believe, came in 4th seed last season or at the end of last season. So, they're a very good team. But the point is that the skill gap between these teams are typically quite close. So Group 4 has always been kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, sadly, of course, my home team, Vikings, sadly down at the bottom there. But, they did get that. They did get a win. I was happy with that.
It's because you didn't wear your jersey on broadcast.
Yeah, but I wrote it on my hand. That's close
yeah, but
enough,
that's
right?
not wearing your jersey.
Okay, I'm going to put my jersey on when we're back in the studio and see if I can somehow conjure them back up into the playoffs. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see what we can do. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be a really good match. I did stray into using youth speak and say this is a match that is going to slap, but I stand by it. But here are your players for tonight. Again, we've spoken about some of these guys before. Ruggy Ram, we gave him a shout out last time. Big figure in the Arena Clash community, but not to be outdone in terms of skill. Quantum, Lithium, both stood out from the Steelers last time we saw them play.
Yeah, obviously Quantum being the one sort of sitting there in the highest kind of traditional rank spot in Overwatch, but really when you're playing on a dedicated team, things like that aren't quite as important because it's about how you communicate with the team just as much as it is about your pure mechanical skill. But of course, being a DPS player, very interesting to see him play and how he is able to take advantage of the opposition. So, of course, going to be looking from the side of Lionhearts to see how it is they deal with that. Lionhearts, they've looked a lot more flexible from what we've seen of them when they played against Centurions earlier on in the season. So I think that one of the really interesting things that we should be looking for in this game particularly is going to be how each of these teams adapt to one another, because it is made of those high skill players. These are two very good teams that we have seen thus far. So it's going to be about how they understand what the other team is trying to achieve and how to put a stop to that. And so it's going to be a little bit more nuanced than some of the other matchups that we do see in this tournament. But I think that's going to make it pretty exciting. Yeah,
it is. It's one of the nice things about the group stages is it lets us have a look at some of the lower ranked players and gives them a chance to really shine under the spotlight. But it is also pretty good to get the chance to watch these really top flight players have a go on it. But we are going to be moving over on to Oasis, our opening control point for the matches tonight. I wouldn't be surprised to see us go to the map 5 and maybe get Ilios at the end of the evening. But coming out of Spawn, what's it look like we got running here, Gio?
Well, it's looking like we've got goats. Yeah, we're going to be going for a little bit more of the standard, even though the meta is starting to change at the moment. These are teams that, they've been playing in this kind of meta for a while now, and they're just going to stick to that, especially in this sort of straight out brawly area we have here on University.
Yeah, and aggressive from Lionhearts, already getting the kill onto Elroy. They took early possession of the point, and they're able to leverage that into a series of kills, because down goes the main tank, and the rest of those Jenga blocks come tumbling down to the ground.
Yeah, and you know, one person that we do have to be looking at is Kai here, who you are seeing right on the screen, building up that EMP charge fairly quickly. In fact, he made an appearance a number of times there in the kill feed, helping to bring down members of Steelers. And of course, that EMP, as long as he gets it off at the right time, can be really brutalizing onto Steelers, as it's pretty much kind of a life or death sort of ultimate. And Steelers don't really have anything too massive as far as ults go to their own name.
No, and here's the thing, of course, Steelers lost in the neutral fight. Their Lionhearts have come out of this with 2. They've got the EMP ready to go. They've got the Shatter on board as well. In fact, there's the EMP comes in. Yes, everybody, the Shatter in over the top of it, and that's clean up city from Lionhearts. Steelers coming out of that with still no ultimates online. Those fights have been just so clean for Lionhearts.
And what's really nice about what Lionhearts have for themselves now is they still have the Transcendence, which means that whatever Steelers try to bring in for the next fight, they do have that defensive protection should they require it. But it could potentially be that Lionhearts, you know, let Steelers build up their ultimates and then try to bait them out, as they're not too far from their own support ultimates either. And of course, Elroy, he's going to be getting closer and closer to that Earth Shatter that they need to be watching out for.
Yeah, and of course, this needs to be a quick engage from Steelers, because the longer you leave this, the closer Lionhearts and particularly Kai are going to get to more ultimates. And you can see the charge on that already up close to 60, and the engage is still pretty slow coming out from Steelers. They use the rally to get in and buy a little bit of space to do a little more damage in over the top. Of course, they've still got things to play. Elroy coming in with a Shatter, only finds 1, but we've got the sound barrier to come in over the top. Another big hack out from Kai, gets 4. Corellius gets 1 with the self-destruct, but it's still quite a lot to play for here. Game Ward 30, currently looking to clean up with the hammer, not able to find too much on the back of that. Graviton Surge comes out also. Lionheart still in control of the point, still in control of the fight, and that is going to be finally the kills going over to Lionheart. Although Quantum comes in with the whip shot, Elroy with the fire strike just does enough to flip the point over.
It's actually worth noting how much work Quantum was doing in that fight, because when we saw Game Ward 30, he was actually Beam Claws, just playing on one of the Belong accounts right now. When he used his Earth Shatter, Quantum actually tried to stun him out, and it was a tiny bit late, so the Earth Shatter still went off. He wasn't able to be stunned out of the Earth Shatter, but the fact that Quantum is still going for those plays shows that Steelers completely understand what it is they're meant to be doing. They just need to be a little bit more proactive.
Yeah.
There's an Earth Shatter.
Yeah, Shatter comes out, doesn't do an awful lot, went right into the waiting counter Shatter coming out. That's big. Puts the supports on the floor, gets the Sombra as well. So Lionhearts have come bouncing right back into this fight and may just have done enough there to well, in fact, maybe possibly to pause the game. Not entirely sure what's going on with that. It was a terrible moment to pause, frankly, because so much was about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we have our emergency feed, and what I can say for definite is that Game Ward is just very aggressive in how he, or I should say Beam Claws. His name's not Game Ward, but Beam Claws is very aggressive in how he follows up his Earth Shatters. And of course, the rest of the team are also there to help him with that, because it's very easy to land an Earth Shatter and then just, if it gets many people, if not enough people are following up on it, then they'll still get back up and be able to rejoin the fight. And that's something that Lionhearts are very good at, is following up. Whereas Steelers, they're playing a little bit more defensively and weren't necessarily executing that kind of play just as well. But Steelers, their composition that they're going to be bringing in for this next fight is going to be a little bit more spammy with both the Ashe and the Pharah. And of course, the Sombra's going to be looking for those hacks. But Lionhearts running the double hit scan is going to really put pressure onto Quantum, and so he's going to be relying a lot on the vertical cover, but also relying on aggression, who won't necessarily be able to provide those, you know, healings to the rest of his team.
Oh, well, there's a couple of early kills. Lionhearts once again starting off very strong. Corellius, Quantum Aggression all down incredibly early. Rix not having managed to do too much damage there, but certainly helping up with the cleanup. And it's now Lionhearts on the chase, looking to get those last few kills and build as much of a stagger into this first team fight as they can.
Yeah, we can actually see now that Quantum has changed over to the Genji, which is a little bit more of a characteristic hero for him. We've definitely seen his Genji before, and it's nothing to be laughed at. Ruggy Ram also switching over as well. And of course, having the Ana with the Genji, especially when there's also a Sombra on your team, is a really classic combination where you can combine the Blade with the Nano Boost and of course the EMP as well if you choose to do so.
Okay, but it's worth considering, though, Lionhearts have taken a lot of these fights just in the neutral with no ultimate. Steelers giving themselves a bit of a thing to carry here in that they need to get these ultimates online as quickly as possible. And in that time, Lionhearts, with all these DPS threats, are just going to get in and get the picks and make it so hard for these ultimates to actually be brought online and do the work they need to do.
The very interesting thing is that I don't think Steelers are really following up on the dive targets that they should be, because we've actually seen Lithium hacking some pretty crucial targets. He hacked Rix and then immediately hacked Roman Sparta, and these are really good targets because they are DPS heroes who you are really going to put pressure on and prevent them from getting value. But then there was never a follow-up. You never saw a dive follow onto those targets, and that's something that needs to be cleaned up, because there's no point in your Sombra hacking individual targets if there's going to be nothing done about it, because now those heroes on Lionhearts have their ultimates ready for the next fight.
Yeah, I mean, EMP and Bob, that's, it's maybe unusual, but it's certainly an interesting combo. Rookie Ram does have the Nano Boost ready to go, but Quantum still 32% away from actually getting their own ultimate online. So that win condition, not there yet. Just Roman Sparta coming in, has the EMP, gets the initial hack onto Elroy, and the follow-up damage coming in. They do receive the anti-nade. I believe that was a result of a reflect coming out from Quantum. Roman Sparta has the EMP. Oh, gets found out. Aggression managing to get two there, including the Bob. This is grid. This is such a big opening for Steelers. Rick's coming in with the barrage. Slept out of it. Quantum sound barrier out from Aggression. Of course, two people down already for Steelers. Yanni here just trying to keep the point alive as long as possible. Corellius with the bomb. Able to find the wrecking ball, but once more, unfortunately, that is going to be Lionheart with no ultimates left on the board, coming in and just doing this with the pure right-click power of Lionhearts.
But it doesn't matter.
Oh.
It doesn't matter.
So close to getting that on board.
They couldn't flip it over, but the biggest thing that was done in that fight was the fact that the Nano was put onto Elroy and he was immediately hacked by Lionhearts, which meant he could not. The whole point of putting the Nano onto him was to give him the survivability so that he could go in and cause trouble, disrupt, cause damage, initiate the dive, and that was denied from him, which meant the Steelers then had to bring out all of their ultimates to even try to flip the point that was already on 99%. That was a massive play. It was only small, but it was huge.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, we look at these big team fights and we think, oh yeah, all these intricate little bits and pieces. Sometimes you don't spot the tiny stuff like that really
it can be the smallest things.
Yeah,
it really can. But I mean, I was just going to say, I think Lionhearts, they have a better understanding of, well, they're building up their ults faster, they're building their ults more efficiently, and they're using them more efficiently because they're not wasting them. They're just using one, maybe two to have a fight. They can win these neutral fights. And then they also have much better target prioritization because they're following up on the targets that are being targeted, and so that's when you have these instances where a really small play can get a lot of value because they're playing for a specific reason rather than just sort of, oh, someone's going to hack someone while we're doing something else. And that seems to be where Steelers are at right now, which is kind of a shame for them because everybody knows they're a very skilled team and it's potentially the pressure. I'm not really sure. Maybe they have to warm up and we'll see them get better over the course of the series. It is still very early, but so far Lionhearts are being a lot more methodical and clever about how they're playing.
Yeah, and we came into this saying this was going to be a really good, really close match. If this goes, the rest of the series goes the way that map just went, this is going to be just done in a fraction of the time because we even saw Lionhearts almost aggressing right into the spawn of the waiting Steelers as we were on that second round. At this level of play, it amazes me they're able to get away with doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you see that very frequently on control points is when a team gets an early control of one of the points, they typically take that opportunity to then aggress up to the spawn because they can get that extra fight in because even if the team that then is trying to attack onto the point gets onto the point, they still then have to fight out for control of it. So it puts you in that kind of beneficial position to hold your enemy back even further. It helps get them to burn through their resources and their ultimates to even make it to the point in the first place. And then you're still in this kind of advantageous position where you're holding the majority of the control. So you do see it very frequently, but mostly it'll be after the initial control. But yeah, it really made it quite a bit harder for Steelers.
Yeah, good points there, Gio. But we're going to be moving over now onto, you're quite welcome, onto map number 2, moving over to our Assault or 2CP map. Going to be moving over to the beautiful Paris, and it's going to be Lionhearts starting on the defense here. For those of you watching at home, yes, the teams have changed sides and consequently colours. So Lionhearts now playing in the blue, Steelers in the red.
Oh, yeah. Well, Lionheart's obviously going to be starting things up with what has become this classic bunker composition, including the Batiste with the Orisa, the Bastion. You've got a Roadhog who is great for using that hook to try and snatch people from that choke point there, and especially if a Pharah is going to be run, it could be that Steelers end up changing their composition. But if the Pharah is going to be run, obviously that's a vulnerability for her, and having that Sombra as well is going to cause even more of a nuisance in the backline. And as Steelers do make a final dive onto Lionhearts, if that's what they choose to do, then that EMP will be pretty dangerous. So we've got to wait for Steelers to... They know what composition is here. They're just going to make an immediate dive.
Immediately hooked out of it. Beautiful presence of mind coming out there from Roman Sparta on the hook. Quantum actually managing to get Rix and the Immortality Field. Doesn't matter, of course, because the Mercy is there specifically to be bringing the Bastion back into the fight, which means that it was a good dive, but it sadly wasn't good enough. Oh, Rix there firing right into the middle of that reflecting. Genji knows they can survive the damage and secures the kill onto Quantum. Good 98 out from Ruggy Ram as well. Sadly, just not quite enough to secure the kills.
It's been super low there. But yeah, the fact that, yes, maybe Elroy was stunned out, it still gave the DPS heroes a really good opening to actually start to build up some ultimate charge by being aggressive, because they knew that they weren't going to actually finish off that fight in that one go. So we're very close to having this Blade and Barrage.
Well, there's the Blade. The Immortality Field is up, needs to focus it. The Immortality Field comes down. The Dragon Blade is, of course, ready to go, but they may not need it because Rix is down. Rix has secured the D-Mate, but we also lose the main tank of the Orisa going down already. Now, Lithium here with the Barrage online, ready to go, looking for targets. May not need to pop it here, may be able to save this through to point 2, because able to pepper in that damage from the distance, they may just be able to hold on to this. And now it is 2 left alive in this room. Take a breather, comes out from Roman Sparta. They have the whole Hawk online, ready to go. They throw it in. They secure the D-Mech already, but they've had to back out or else get faced down by the reflecting Genji of Quantum. The Barrage comes out from Lithium. We see a kill online from Ruggy Ram. Also, the Barrage doesn't secure anything. Roman Sparta taking Lithium down there out as well. So Quantum, they actually cap this and hold on to the Dragon Blade. So we've got the Nano Boosted Dragon Blade online for this next fight.
Yeah, the thing that was really key there was the fact that Steelers kept pushing through in spite of the amplification matrix coming up, because it meant that once they brought down the Batiste and the Orisa, who are the main kind of protectors in that composition, they could then just push on through and apply a lot of pressure there to Lionhearts. And as you mentioned, that Quantum now has the Dragon Blade once again. He was able to build it up in that fight. So we want to be looking out for the combination with the Nano Boost. There we go.
Speaking of which, it's online. The Immortal Power is up and down straight away. Quantum coming up absolutely massive there. Gets Rix, gets Yanni, 2 and the Immortality Field, and then the Turbocharger down as well. This is looking really good for Steelers. Aggression has the sound barrier ready to go. Self-destruct out from Carulius. They didn't need anything else. They took that last fight in one go. Beautiful use of ultimates out from Steelers.
Yeah, it's not all that common that we actually see that same bunker composition being used on the second point of Paris. And because of the nature of the geometry of the second point, it makes it a lot easier to kind of get in through behind that shield and provide pressure from a lot of different angles. So we saw Lionhearts obviously have to pretty much use all of their resources at the end to even hope to hold on to the point. But because it went so quickly, it means Steelers actually have a pretty nice time bank of 419. So Lionhearts now, of course, they're going to have to put together a better attack, but I don't know. I've seen DPS attacks go against bunker defenses before that have taken a lot more chipping away than we saw just now. So if a similar defense is going to be coming out from Steelers, then that is certainly a feat that Lionhearts are going to have to climb.
Yeah, and I thought it was particularly interesting the way Quantum seemed to know exactly how to come out at just the right time to come back, have more charge to their ultimate, but also be able to give a little bit more charge out to Ruggy Ram over on the Ana. I thought that was a really, really clever set of plays.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Lionhearts are going to be going for the strategy of using an EMP and following that up with the Dragon Blade. Of course, I mentioned how the Genji, Sombra, and Ana all work very, very nicely together. But the thing with this strategy is it does take a little bit of time and commitment to build up the EMP, and it means that you could end up feeding over some ult charge to the defending team in the meantime while you're actually trying to build that up. So see how it goes. You've got to hope that Rix can actually build this up fairly quickly, otherwise it could just be running into a little bit of a brick wall.
Lithium here on Sombra checking duty.
He's having fun.
Yeah. Bastion's point and click adventure. Just trying to find a target. Doesn't really matter who. Rix hasn't actually yet been able to close the distance. Coming in, not quite able to connect with the hack either. Lithium taking Beam Claws down straight away, but Steelers looking pretty strong on the defense now. Got to be hard for Lionhearts to crack that with their DPS and their main tank down, so might want to back out a little bit there.
Yeah, so as you say, got a bit of a reset here. They've got about 2 minutes them to make that same time bank that Steelers did, so there's still a little bit of time, but it is kind of demonstrative so far of what I said about it being a commitment and them kind of having to chip away, because Rick still isn't even halfway to his EMP.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the crux of it, isn't it? Is just how quickly Rix can manage this. You know, to be honest, like any two-part. But they are down one already, and Rix gets found in the back line, taken out by a combo of just the raw damage out from the Bastion and the hook as well. Nano Boost is out. Didn't quite catch where that went. Maybe either onto Bear Claws?
Yeah, I went straight on to Beam Claws there.
Yeah, so Beam Claws getting into the back, has the Primal Rage ready to go, but Lithium has the configuration tank form. Hasn't needed to pop it yet. Kai does get one kill out of this exchange. That's going to take the main tank down, but immediately rezzed back up. Nice pick. Big Bomb comes out, also finds the Mercy ready to go. So the res is offline, but it's a lot of the healing down, and Kai with the Dragon Blade ready to go gets taken out. Beam Claws opting to come back in and commit with Kai already out of the fight. Not entirely sure what's going on there, and it does seem like we're going to get Rix maybe coming into the backline to try and stop a stagger as we lose Yanni on the front line. Lionhearts, not entirely sure what's going on with their attack at the minute.
Yeah, I would like to see Rix come back so that they can use that EMP, because it's looking like they're going to have to. And actually now he's starting to make his way back. Yeah, aggression going down is pretty big.
Yeah, coming in, Detective manages to eventually clear that hurdle, gets the EMP, well, there's going to be the dash reset, taking down Elroy, and of course the supercharger down, ready to go as well. But Quantum managing to find support bot at the same time. So Steelers looking like they may just be able to hold on to this, because the sound barrier comes out and we finally have that Dragon Blade online. There's no Nano Boost to top it up. Maybe they can do just enough with that. They've got to secure the D-Mech here onto the Diva of Carulius, and the D-Mech is going to come out. So Lionheart's finally going to flip this point over, but a much slower time bank and far fewer resources at the end of the first fight than Steelers managed.
Yeah, the EMP really should have been where they were able to clean everything up, and the fact that Quantum was still able to get 2 kills off of the back of that, even though his whole team had been EMP'd, that is not where you want to be. But nonetheless, they have made it through to the second point. They are at a worse time bank than Steelers are at by a not insignificant margin.
Yeah,
and
into the configuration tank form and the amplification matrix.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say.
Well, sorry to preempt you. We do lose Beam Claws early on in the fight. Lionhearts almost definitely don't want to take that 5v6, unless, of course, you can secure a pick onto the main tank, which is a pretty huge thing to start off. Yeah, unfortunately, we're just having to take a short pause here while we sort out some technical issues, and immediately right back in again. I hope you breathe. Big EMP to round things off. That's almost all the Steelers caught in on the back of it. Lionheart start piling in the damage over the top. The Dragon Blade comes out from Kai, going to get rid of Carillis. Now this is all down to whether Lithium can get anything done on the configuration tank form, and that's going to be a no. Steelers starting to make a couple of swaps to come back as quickly as possible, but it may be just too little too late, as Lionheart's complete, not in as quick a time as Steelers, but still pretty impressive.
No, Steelers really don't need to be worried, and I think it's not even just about the time bank, but about almost the entire opposite of what I was saying on Oasis, and that is the fact that in this case, Steelers were being a little bit more assertive and deciding exactly what it was that they wanted to do. They were very decisive in their original attack, and that's something that Lionhearts weren't, because when they were trying to make their dive, it wasn't all together. They kept trying to go the back route rather than diving straight onto the the setup that Steelers had. And so if Steelers do recreate that when it comes back to their own attack, then they are probably in a much better position to take Paris. But of course, Lionhearts are going to be starting off on the attack for themselves, looking like they're actually going to go for something fairly similar to what they did last time, but instead they're going to have Beam Claws rocking the hamster. And the idea there is going to be he will swing through first, he'll use the pile driver to disrupt, potentially try and bait out some of those resources from Steelers, like the Immortality Field. They have a Mercy, so it's not like she's going to throw a nade or anything like that you would expect from an Ana. But this is what they're going to be looking for, and then following up with a more robust dive from the rest of the team.
Yeah, some subtle changes, but maybe some impactful changes. We'll have to see how this works out for them, of course, with all the CC on board. It's a difficult time to be a hamster in this sort of setup, but they are going to come rolling through, and pretty much what I said, got hooked, got just flat deleted from Beam Claws.
Yeah, it didn't quite work exactly how they wanted.
Oh, beautiful hook as well. Finds the Winston and a headshot to follow Roman Sparta down. Think of all that ult charge given over to the Roadhog, basically for free there.
Nom nom nom. Yeah, it's getting close to that 30%. It's not huge. Kai is leading that with about 50 on his Dragon Blade. But once again, while the Sombra and the Ana are a little bit far behind, there's not all that much he'll be able to do with the Dragon Blade alone.
Yeah, I like that play from Rix, though. Getting in there, causing a bit of trouble, getting a bit of ult charge, and just getting back out again means that they actually got a lot closer. So we're going to see Kai have the Dragon Blade. Rix still 66% away from the EMP, and support bot a long way away, but has managed to secure a kill. Just going to go absolutely ham with the Dragon Blade. Doesn't matter if you've not got anything to back it up. Getting one kill out of it. Roman Sparta able to get two on the back of that. Yanni secures the D-Back, and Beam Claw coming in, taking out the pilot form Diva. Roman Sparta to round things off. Lionhearts looking so much better this round.
Oh, definitely. And the really important thing about that attack was the fact that they were able to disrupt Steelers before they made their primary attack. So Steelers weren't all kind of sitting together under this Immortality Field like they were when they set up their defense. And so that made it a lot easier for them to not be able to protect each other. But Steelers have made some changes of their own, actually switching over onto a more Ghost type composition. But this EMP, no!
That's huge!
The EMP was going to happen. It got stunned out and whip shotted, and that was not what Lionhearts wanted.
No, just absolutely CC'd into the ground. Yeah, hate to see it.
Oh no, and that also means that Steelers know that Rix is going to be looking for that EMP opportunity, so they can be working, they're not really close to their support ultimates right now, but they want to at the very least be trying to position their support so that they're not going to be falling victim to the EMP when it does come in.
Yeah, but we actually saw Quantum doing this in at Oasis. Just like it's their job to deal with the Sombra, and they're doing it incredibly well. Yeah, Roman Sparta has the Primal Rage, ready to go, pops it in, looking for maximum chaos, maximum carnage in here, just bashing the entirety of the Steelers into the ground. Rix no longer has the EMP on board, but we've got the minefield down. Oh well, lots of resources being pumped into the Reinhardt of Elroy, but still taking a huge amount of damage. Kai manages to take Quantum out of the equation. We've got the sound barrier from Yanni, keeping Kai alive, and in the fight, Rix managing to get a quick double there. They have capped 1 point already. Ruggy Ram has used the Nano Boost to try and survive some of that. Carulius is getting relatively close to a Graviton Surge ready to go, but Quantum has managed to take down Support Bot as well. So this is looking pretty dire for Steelers. With the Graviton Surge out, they managed to get two on the back of it. Kai managing to get one as well. Roman Sparta managing to stay up and in the fight, and we're on board with Carulius right now with that high charge, looking to try and beam down these last few pesky targets from the Lionhearts, and there's the charge coming out from Elwood. Big dislocate, big kill coming out. OT definitely in effect. EMP stops that coming in, sleeping on top, and Beam Claws gets melted. EMP coming out there just for good measure out from Rick to try and do what they can to keep this alive, but it's not going to be enough. Still, a decent amount of point captured there for the Lionheart. Can Steelers replicate and or beat that progress?
That's absolutely overkill from Steelers at the end there. And there are a couple of points where Lionhearts, made some good plays. For example, when they actually brought out their Dragon Blade, it was after they saw Ceruleus use his bubble, so that had already gone down, so he You knew there wasn't that kind of protection, but obviously when you have that spawn advantage, it really allowed the defending team to come out in the masses and constantly be there looking after their point. But what it all depends on now is how strong Lionheart's first defense is, because if they get taken down quickly in the first defense, then Steelers are basically guaranteed the second point. They don't have to get all 3 points. If they do get to, because Lionhearts didn't get the second point, that means that it's easier for Steelers to take the second point, to try and manage their ultimates, because they're not going to be playing for 3 ticks, they're only going to be playing for 2. And obviously we saw their attack on the first round very fast on the second point. So Lionhearts, they've got the Ash now instead of the Sombra, so having the Dynamite go into the choke point could be pretty key. And of course that spammy kind of hit scan that you have available, the Bob could be pretty brutal as well, as resources has to be invested into him. But we want to be watching out for Lithium and watching out for the dive that Elroy's going to lead.
Yeah, Lithium now in the back, does get chased out by the Diva. Kai managing to throw in the TNT, and that's absolutely huge, getting the DMAC and the kill onto Carulius, already coming round the side, looking for Quantum over on the Genji. Doesn't look like quite secured to kill, but Rix does take Lithium out of the equation, and another big TNT. You're going to watch this ult charge for Kai, climb and climb and climb. Quantum, about halfway to what he needs to break this. He needs to maybe be a little bit quicker on getting it, though.
But look how close Yanni is to the Amp Matrix, and if they can fire it straight into that small room that Steelers are trying to aggress from, then that could be an easily one fight for Lionhearts.
Yeah, absolutely could. But Kai very close to getting the Bob online, and Bob and Amp Matrix, if he can get those 2 lined up, that's another big one. But Rix getting the configuration tank form online already as well.
Lionhearts are very well prepared here. They just want to see what angles Steelers try to take this attack from, because there's no point in aiming everything into the choke point if they're going to try and come round the side. They really have to see, but I suspect Steelers are going to try and organize a dive. Not the best translocator placement right there, but
Out is out.
Could be worse, I guess.
Yeah. So Steelers almost have 2 bits of this puzzle online and clicked in, ready to go. They've just got to get another 9% on Quantum's Dragon Blade, and they'll be good to go. Oh, here comes the configuration tank form. It's going to be able just to pile in the damage on top of that. And we've also got the Amp Matrix online. Looks to have not been the best placement for it. Doesn't really give them a beam onto anybody. And we did see Bob on the field also. Again, not entirely sure where Bob landed here. Kai in trouble here. Going mano a mano with aggression. Coming out on top. Lionhearts still in control of the point. Does get taken down by Lithium, who is very close to having the EMP ready to go. We've got the EMP Dragon Blade combo online. Out comes the DMAC, but Roman Sparta has the self-destruct, gets one with that, one with their own primary fire. Kai coming in just to completely smash that down. Lionheart looking so strong right now. 1 minute 56 seconds left to go for Steelers, and this next push needs to be it. This EMP Dragon Blade combo has to be the one that does it.
Yeah, the fact that Quantum and Lithium were taken out before they were able to use those ultimates was really key, but they're going to be looking to do it early. There's the EMP.
Yeah, EMP gets 4. Yanni has not been caught in it, but that's going to be 2 already out from Quantum, and the turbocharger immediately deleted. Steelers, we said it needed to be the attack that did it, and it absolutely was. And they're going to be coming through with some resources in the bank left to go.
Having the nano boost is going to be really huge. I suspect we'll see that put on Elroy so that he can lead a really brutal dive, especially if he has the primal rage, because yes, oftentimes when used on a main tank, the nano boost is used to kind of up the HP, and the primal rage does that anyway, but it could really make him that kind of indestructible monkey that Lionhearts can't deal with, because they've just changed their composition as well, so they don't have any ultimates and they are very far from them, and if they can be disrupted, then this could be a very quick take for Steelers.
Yeah, of course. This is a pretty hard to wipe off the point setup that we've got coming out from Lionhearts. So Lithium needs to pick their hack target absolutely pixel perfect here. Dive has come in already from Elray. Elray has the Primal Rage online, ready to go. Self-destruct finds 2 and the Nano Boost and the Primal Rage ready to go for Steelers. So this could be absolutely where they turn it around. The respawn, the recontest has to be so good from Lionhearts. They're able to get this to work, and it's looking like it's going to be a real uphill struggle for them because there's none of them left alive on the point. We do see the Moira coming out to try and facilitate the recontest. So the contest is on now, but they've got to keep this going for another 37 seconds, and it is increasingly harder and harder to do, and that is going to be it. We're going to see Steelers take Paris and take us to 1-1, all tied up in the series.
Ceruleus's self-destruct was really what they needed there, because actually Lithium didn't get the hack target he was after. He wanted to get the Reinhardt so that he brought down that shield, and he actually got the Zarya instead. You could see him trying to change things up, but the fact that that 2k self-destruct came in and opened it up for Steelers is what really gave them the opportunity that they needed to finish up that fight so quickly.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about is the composition that Lionheart swapped over to. They swapped over to the 3-2-1 with the Sombra in place of the third tank. Mm-hmm. When you're trying to brawl out a point for as long as physically possible, is that really the optimum pick? What was the thought in that?
I think what they were trying to do is they knew that there were ultimates on the side of Steelers. It was unlikely that they were going to change their composition, and playing dive into goats is not necessarily the ideal strategy. So I think they were hoping that in playing a goats composition, they would be able to hold off a dive attack a lot better and kind of absorb some of those resources that were being used. The thing is obviously you have the big risk because you then are starting from 0% when it comes to your own ultimates and things like that. And of course, you don't really expect a massive bomb to come in like that and for a Sombra to be, right there trying to bring down the Reinhardt. And ultimately, that just made it very difficult for them. It kind of gave them not very much defensive power. But I think that's what
the small plays like that absolutely turn these fights around. So that was obviously a lot closer than what we saw at Oasis. So this sort of prevailing theory that the control maps are where chaos reigns, and a team that does better in a more coordinated sort of style, more coordinated sort of approach might be starting to bear fruit here. I really want to see how our players adapt to one of the payload variant maps and whether the styles they're running can cope with this moving payload approach.
Definitely. There is, of course, that difference between dealing with a static defense and dealing with, constantly moving fights that you have in control. So obviously when we move into things like hybrid and escort, where you have a moving defense, that's where it could start getting a little bit interesting. I suspect that in hybrid, we'll have the more successful defenses, or at least first point defenses, come out from Steelers. But of course, we just don't know yet. And the interesting thing is that we are at 1-1 at the half, so it could go either way right now.
Yeah, it really could. And this is why I was excited to be casting this match. Is I don't know from what I've seen how this is going to go, and I think it may well come down to like map number 3. Map number 3 in map number 5 of the 5-game series. Right. It could really be that close. Like, I'm going to be, it's not comfortable to do it where I'm sat, but if I could sit on the edge of my seat, I absolutely would be sat on the edge of my seat right now.
Well, I think the other interesting thing about the fact that we're going into Numbani for our next map is Numbani is very friendly towards DPS compositions, and both of these teams are teams that have shown interest in playing DPS. We did see Goats kind of at the beginning, but they've both really shown interest in playing DPS. It's good for Pharahs, it's good for Ashe, I suppose, and you can also have those Orissas on Numbani. So I suspect that's what we will be seeing, and actually looking at the initial compositional picks that are up on the UI there, it is looking like that's how things are going to be starting off. Steelers looking like they're going to be bringing out the Pharah McCree for their original defense.
Yeah, and aggression there, taking up the Lucio. Useful to have a defensive ult as well as an offensive ult from your supports in the form of Rookie Ram's Nano Boost. But who do you put the Nano Boost onto here?
On Steelers? I mean, wait, Steelers or Lionhearts?
On Lionheart, sorry.
On Lionhearts, It really depends on the situation. I have a strong preference for putting a nano boost onto a Winston because he often leads the fight and you can really support your main tank there and allow him to have a more successful dive. But of course, if you want to save it for the Dragon Blade and there's that opportunity, then by all means do it.
Man, that is looking pretty dire there for Beamclaws. They got slept and they got Anthony taken down to only a handful of health. Luckily, the bubble was up, so they weren't quite able to follow up on that. And here we go with Quantum already 45% of the way to the ultimate, coming around, trying to find an angle, trying to get a pick on the backline, and he's found the Ashe, and he's found the Anna, and Kai just completely blanked on the fact that Quantum was there, managing to get in and get the melee kill. Steelers looking like they may be in control
Nice
here, but a big sleep onto Quantum means they can afford to ignore them for a couple more seconds. Lionheart's looking to be in a pretty good position here. Is Lithium on the point and trying to fend off that dive coming in from the Winston, and that's going to be the flashbang kill out from Lithium, taking Beamclaws out of the equation. Rookie Ram and Aggression coming in big there to solidify the defense, but they do give over half of the point, and the fight's not completely over yet because we see Lithium now being pressured by Kai. Kai taking position on the point once more, looking to try and generate this ultimate. We're very close to getting the nano boost online. We just need that Dragon Strike ready to go.
The thing with running McCree is it makes it very hard to dive him, and actually we did see that the Winston in Beamclaws, he did take the opportunity to do that when the flashbang was on cooldown, but of course he ended up being killed by it once it did come online. And now the Deadeye is ready to go. That's going to really discourage Lionhearts from moving forward. So I really hope they don't use any of their ultimates before that comes out. Oh, well, I guess never mind.
Yeah, that's going to be the Dragon Blade coming in, getting two. Quantum managing to also get two with this answering barrage with the help from the nano boost. Is that going to be the for Steelers or Horonte? Because they've lost their main tank and they've lost Lithium, who's going to discourage a lot of this dive. It's going to be a lot harder for them to keep this going. Roman Sparta once in, managing to get around the corner, secures the remake without getting caught out by the self-destruct. Absolutely huge to be able to do that. Roman Sparta coming in for the dive, going to chase down Quantum. Quantum taken out of the equation already, so we've got 2 points captured here for Lionhearts already, and they're going to secure the DMEC and the kill onto Carillius. Lithium with a high noon, not able to find anything. The Supercharger also online from Elroy. That's going to be pretty much all that Steelers can do here as Lionhearts are on the chase to secure these final few kills, and they have got that payload rocking and rolling already.
Well, I expect Steelers will start changing things up here, as it wasn't the most ideal place to use a Supercharger, but of course Orisa isn't really ideal in the rest of the map, so there we go. We're actually starting to see things change up. But I think it was really good that Roman Sparta went and chased down the Pharah, because the Pharah was really causing such a distraction and providing another angle of attack that wasn't really being dealt with. So the fact that he was brought down, it meant that they could focus quite linearly on the things in front of them, and of course allow them to bring down that attack. So now we're just seeing like a bit of poke damage here. Of course, Kai already has the Dragon Blade ready to go, so he doesn't need to worry too much about that. But whatever they can use to whatever they can use,
Tesla cannon.
if only. But whatever they can use to push back the enemy.
Well, how's that for pressure? Gets right on top of Rookie.
Oh, he's hacked!
Manages to get the kill, but does get hacked and gets whip-shotted. Quantum doing such a good job of dealing with all of these disruptive flanker threats. Such a powerful Brigitte player. Out comes the sound barrier from Yanni, going to try and keep Lionheart in this fight, having lost the mech. Rix now has the high noon ready to go, and Quantum, having just sung his phrases, gets flashbang and right-clicked out of existence. Out comes the self-destruct, listening for that kill bell. Nothing coming out of that, thrown into the ether. Nothing coming out of it, but stunned and just melted right back out of that mech again. Steelers, they've got ultimates online almost, but Lionhearts are too aggressive and too powerful in this push for them to get any of them online to stop the push.
I really like that Rix threw the flashbang over the shield of the Brigitte. It just kind of goes to show that the shield doesn't always mean that, you can't use your resources onto that enemy. And now Lionhearts, they have a healthy number of ultimates that are going to be leading them into this next fight. And it shouldn't take too long for the nano boost to come online, provided the Anna is obviously doing a nice amount of healing. Obviously, this rally is coming out now from Steelers.
big stun coming out from Rix, and the follow-up there taking Carillius out of the fight already, nowhere near that Graviton Surge, and now no protective bubbles online. Lithium coming around the side does have the EMP, but of course we need big follow-up for it to be a big EMP, or at least to be an impactful EMP. Rix here in the back line, just trying to pepper in this damage as much as they can. Elroy secures a kill there, taking Yanni out of the fight already, so we are going to see Lionheart's back out here without that Lucio to improve your mobility and give you that passive healing. It's not a fight they want to take.
Well, the important thing here is the fact that Lithium has the EMP and Yanni does not yet have the sound barrier, and that is the only defensive support ultimate that Lionhearts have right now, so this puts them in a very precarious position.
Absolutely. Kai very close to having their own EMP. The Primal Rage comes out from Beam Claws. They do get stunned briefly, but still alive. And in the fight, the self-destruct that came out again fails to find anything particularly useful. Roma Sparta does manage to secure the remake, so we're going to be back at a full complement for Lionhearts. Stunned out of the Hydro, nothing coming out of it. And that's going to be a big shot
massive.
with the nano boost in over the top. Not quite able to find the cleave that they might like, but in comes that hack from Kai. But still, not a huge amount out of that. We've only seen one kill for Steelers on the back of 3 ultimates, and that's really not anything that you would like to have happen to you. Quantum does secure the DMAG, but another hack coming out from Kai. This payload moving ever so slowly forward. Lots of pressure coming out from Lionheart's. Kai has had to back out, getting away from Quantum, who gets Yanni in their place, and Steelers are going to hold on to this, but it took them so much to do that hold.
Well, we're seeing some swap ups from Lionhearts now, going to be switching more onto a kind of Goats-esque composition, which should help them out in this brawl because they can't really dive onto what Steelers have here. But the fact that Lithium hasn't used his EMP yet suggests to me that Kai is in a better position. But there's a Graviton Surge.
Yeah, that's a grab that you're not afraid to write home to Mother about. It sticks up 5, and the Shatter coming in. But man, Lionheart just gets hacked and stunned and deleted. Lionhearts are going to be coming out of that with a couple of bruises to show for it.
Definitely a couple of bruises, yeah. You're very right about that one. But they are on their way with the ultimates on the board. Now, Ruggy Ram is just about to get his nano boost, and we may see this be put onto the Reinhardt again so he can cleave into an EMP if Lithium decides to use it now. But Kai is also looking for that opportunity, it would appear.
Yeah, Kai up on the high ground, just looking for the right angle to come in.
There we go.
The EMP gets 5, but Lithium gets an answer. So this was pretty much 1-for-1. Steelers looking like they may be about to come out on top there. Aggression getting a kill onto Kai at the end there, just to get rid of the Brigitte as well. This may be the opening Steelers required. Sound barrier out from Yanni. A lot of members down already. I guess just wants to buy time for that recontest to come in. Carillius here with a lot of charge on board. Gonna start beaming down some people. Gonna almost completely delete Roman Sparta. In fact, Roman Sparta coming away with only a sliver of health. And yet rally as well from Steelers. That's going to allow them to push right back in. And, well, you know, Lionhearts have one of their own, but that seems to be a bit of a stalemate. So we're down now into overtime. If this is going to happen, it needs to happen now. But a Graviton Surge and a Shatter in over the top doesn't connect with as many as you might like, and it doesn't get Aggression, who is able to get the sound barrier off. Carulius managing to get rid of Kai as well. Another Shatter puts 2 on the ground. Steelers, they lose Aggression. They're very close to losing Quantum, but Elroy with the charge is going to get rid of Beam Claws, and that's the main tank down. However, that's going to be Elroy in a lot of trouble there. Can't afford to put the shield down and is being bullied by a Brigitte in the meantime. Roman Sparta coming in once more. High charge might be enough to do this for the Lionhearts as they start to blast what's left of Steelers off point, and a stagger onto Ruggy Ram at the end. We may see them complete this. Lionhearts have to Steelers have to come back in and start this recontest and get it done as quickly as possible, because otherwise we are going to be seeing them complete this map even if it is in overtime.
And this is kind of crazy because Lionhearts did have a few missed opportunities, but Kai is ready with the EMP. Perhaps he's going to use it as it is in overtime. There it comes out.
There we go. EMP, and a lot of people offline already. Lithium throws in their own, gets the majority of Lionhearts, but there just aren't any Steelers there to follow up, and that's going to be Lionhearts completing in overtime.
Wow, okay, they finally managed to do it. You're right, it is in overtime, so of course not the ideal situation, but having all those 3 points on the board does of course mean there is that chance to go into a next round if Steelers also get the 3 points. But yeah, Lionhearts, they missed out on a couple of opportunities. There was, after Elroy did his big charge and lost the nano, he was in a really good position to be brought down. He actually had a Discord orb on him, and they didn't take that opportunity. But Steelers also kind of had the same thing, because Ruggy Ram landed a couple of really good anti-nades that just weren't followed up on. And I think in the kind of energy and the brawl of the moment, there were a lot of these kind of peripheral things that needed to be paying attention to that weren't quite having the attention of the teams. And that's what led to a very drawn out fight and a constant backwards and forwards. I would have liked to seen a little bit more engaging and disengaging, especially once they were on that GOATS composition. And once you know, have seen certain ultimates be used or know that they're about to be used. But nonetheless, heading into this next point, we're going to be having Kai actually on the McCree, so potentially looking out, expecting a Farah to come out from Steelers, which we have seen, but the fact that Steelers have got the Symmetra suggests to me they are going to use it for a teleporter, then probably change the hero, but they want to be taking this fight very aggressively. They're not going to try and break through and have a poke war. They just want to go straight in for it and really take Lionhearts by surprise.
Yeah, but here we are, 2019, and we've got a Symmetra on the field. Everybody, they said it couldn't be done, but we're going to be looking for a bouncing Bastion strat coming out of this. Wants to get into position to just dome as much damage in from an unexpected angle. So out comes that Reinhardt shield. The TP is good. Lots of CC out already, and we've got the Immortality field up. It's time to see if Lithium can get this damage in, but they lose Elroy very early on. Quantum, high charge now, is able to get Kai out of the fight. Quantum with a double. Ruggy Ram goes down also, but Quantum may have just enough support here to do this. They lose Carulius as well. Quantum still on an absolute tear coming into this, getting kill after kill after kill. Quantum, just a one-man wrecking crew, secures the final kill. We've got the Winston coming back in to keep this alive, but you do not want to be coming into all that damage from the Symmetra. What a play coming out from Steelers.
This Symmetra just being on such high charge because she's not being paid attention to, really. Of course, the strategy that they used obviously had the Immortality field from the Batiste to go exactly where they landed with the teleporter, which meant that attention was being paid into bringing down that. Of course, Lionhearts tried to back out. They had the Winston. Everyone was brought very, very low. We saw support bot really trying to bring down the Bastion single-handedly. And so that just left Quantum completely kind of uncontested, and that allowed him to have a very, very high charge and just deal so much damage.
Just taking the main role in that kill feed. Beautiful wall comes out from Quantum, stops so much of the damage connecting, is going to absolutely secure them that team fight, and Lithium does it whilst maintaining the configuration tank form.
It's crazy. This is not what you kind of expect to see. I mean, Symmetra can deal up to 195 DPS with that primary fire, and that's why you just can't. I haven't even really seen any/many turrets kind of be brought out. This is all about that left click.
Yeah, they're being left on the payload to try and discourage the dive off from getting too close to the... but that's a big opener. Elroy goes down to a hard charge Roman Sparta, and this might be where this starts to fall over. Aggression is going to also fall very low. We've got the wall out from Quantum. Bit of a Hail Mary there. Wants to see if they can replicate their success from the last round. Dancing around this wall, looking for kills, looking to rein in this damage, but it's just not going to be enough. So close to the end of the payload. Lionhearts do regain control of it.
Regain control. They've got a couple of ultimates. They're very close to the Earth Shatter, and this is where you want to see Steelers changing things up, because the kind of composition they were running is one that works as long as it's working. But once you've been dislodged, it's very hard to recontest because you've lost that momentum. So that is exactly what we are seeing now. Going to be going for that sort of Winston Sombra kind of GOAT's core sort of composition. So looking to build up the EMP. In fact, they've already got the Primal Rage, which will really work to push Lionhearts off of the payload. So I want to be looking for a really big Earth Shatter to prevent Steelers in their endeavor.
Yeah, Beam Claws looking for an angle to try and defend from here. Oh, and we get one of that self-destruct, and key to that, it's a large source of the damage. We lose the Zena in that fight. The Shatter comes out. It does find aggression. A lot of displace is not going to save Cerulean, who does unfortunately take a lot of damage in there, but Rookie Ram over on the Zena now is able to get rid of Beam Claws, and that's another big pick. Lionhearts, they throw out the Graviton Surge, doesn't get a huge amount of value, and Rookie Ram is going to secure the D-Mech. We lose Quantum in the fight, but if they can just keep piling in this pressure and this damage, particularly with the help of the Discord there, is going to buy them just enough space to push this in. If they can secure these final few kills, Kai manages to get the remake through Lionhearts, and we've got one kill out already, taking down the main tank. The Transcendence out from Rookie Ram, but a massive EMP is going to land onto 4 of Lionhearts. Aggression gets one. Caruli's Aggression coming in big again. That's going to be a self-destruct out as well, but doesn't get anybody. Buys a little bit of time. Hack, not quite able to connect. No, does connect. Lithium taking Yanni out of the fight, and they are going to connect with there. So they've got 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and a bomb to do this with.
At the very least, some time was shaved off what it could be, and that really came down to that personal barrier that Roman Sparta used that allowed some other members of the team to catch up in that time. But Steelers obviously looking in the better position here. They do have the self-destruct that they can just send straight into the fight as soon as they want, and of course the sound barrier to protect themselves with, whereas all Lionhearts really have is the Transcendence. They're getting closer to the grab, but there's that self-destruct.
Yeah, self-destruct in over the top. And it also manages to connect with Roman Sparta, so we're in 5v6 now. Steelers can afford to be a little more careless, a little more aggressive, and it's an aggressive sound barrier as well, enabling Quantum to just go in and wail away with the flail, taking Kai out of the fight, and that's the answering sound barrier out from Yanni, but lots of displace going on here from Elroy, coming in with those monkey arms, buying a huge amount of space. Look how far that payload got in just that one push. Big charge coming out from Beam Claws secures the kill onto Aggression, and we also saw Rookie Ram throw in the Transcenders to keep the team alive, but that's going to be pretty much it. Lionhearts looking like they're taking control of the payload.
Yeah, it's actually a really good charge off the back of the Earth Shatter, because it meant that the Transcendence was pushed away from the rest of the team, and that kind of gave Lionhearts the opportunity to deal some damage in that moment. So, of course, there's still just over 2 minutes on the board, and Lionhearts really want to be pulling this down to overtime, because it means that they will then be on even footing as it goes into the next round. Of course, ideally, they don't want it to even get to that point in the first place, but right now, there's plenty of time for them to get just a few meters, and so Lionhearts have to prepare for that. But Lithium's getting ready to use this EMP, and they will be able to have the rally to follow it up with to go aggressive.
Yeah, does throw in the hack, manages to get one, but obviously has to get out again. But Rookie Ram finds Kai, and once more, that's a one-man opening that gives you all the space in the world, because you've got the EMP. The Translocator comes in, not quite the right position to throw in the hack. Out comes the EMP, gets 3. Delete Beam Claws, main tank down. Dire straits now for Lionheart. Steelers coming in. We've got a bomb ready from Carulius. That could be absolutely the thing that turns this fight all the way around. A big EMP comes out, but it doesn't stop the bomb. The bomb comes in, takes out Yanni as well. A Graviton Surge. Carulius coming in, trying to dislodge a lot of that damage as it comes in, but a big shatter and wailing away with the hammer might not be enough, because all they can do is shield at the minute. Now finally getting the chance to swing away, and a sound barrier out from Aggression sees Paid put to 2 Beam Claws as the kills start to come in. Rookie Ram trying to do as much damage as they can to swing this team fight in their favor. And we see the EMP coming out from Kai to keep this going as well. Not able to... How quick have these been going? Lionhearts have finally managed to do this round, in part thanks to that EMP out from Kai. 40 seconds left to go. Steelers, they've got a Primal Rage, and that's about it at the minute.
That is about it. I mean, they're getting closer to the EMP, changing things up to go back to the Brigitte instead of going for the Wrecking Ball. But we've seen how fast Kai can build up his own EMP, so you never know. Like, I wouldn't put it past him to not be able to get one in this next fight. But other than that, there isn't really anything that Lionhearts are too close to. So they've got to be hoping that they can... build them up in this next fight, and of course have key members out the way so that when Lithium does bring in his EMP, they're not in too dangerous a position.
Yeah, but we're about to hit overtime. Lithium is going to be looking for this EMP, and now they've got a Reinhardt, this combo is suddenly a lot more effective, because you can cleave through with so much damage into the backline. Finds the EMP, hits 4. Luckily, Yanni does not have the sound barrier ready to go, but Elroy also in danger. Watch that health barrier tick down and down. Manages to get 1 down already. That's Beam Claws going down. No more main tank. Roman Sparta has the high charge here. Wants to try and get a few more kills on the back as Lithium gets that opposite number, but a big nade in from Ruggy Ram is going to stop a lot of that value coming out. And we also saw Support Bot move over onto the Moira, and I didn't even notice it happen. Already has the Coalescence online, has used it. This is down to key picks now. Ruggy Ram able to get one down. Earthshatter out from Elroy, puts 3 on the ground. Yanni doesn't have the sound barrier ready to go. Kai with an EMP. God. Too many bodies online for the Steelers, and we're going to see us go through to another round on Numbani.
Wow, that was a huge EMP at the end there, but you're right. Too many people were down in the moment. They couldn't do anything about it. But both these teams, they're going to have 1 minute on the board. So they are on that equal footing. And that's not something that we necessarily expected, given how fast the majority of Steelers' push was in that fight. So, yeah, that was actually... It's very backwards and forwards. Both of these teams are not the best at disengaging. They both like to just continue on the fight and pile in more and more ultimates without really thinking about how the other team is going to gain off of the back of that, and think about how they may want to save certain ultimates for the next fight. But nonetheless, they are now in this position where pretty much if they don't get the first point within the first 2 fights, then they are putting their opponent in a very good position, because they only have a minute on the board. So Steelers are going to be starting on first on the defense.
I can see this going to a draw. Like, both of these teams have been so strong in both of these setups. I can see them just fizzling out here and like doing their best. Maybe we'll get a tick captured.
But the thing is, Steelers' attack was so good last time. But the thing is, because now the Lionhearts have already seen it, they could prepare for it. It could be a bit of a mind games type thing, because they got to wonder if they're going to run it again. But the fact that Steelers' attack was so good before means that if Lionhearts don't take this first point, then that could potentially make it seem like it's much easier for Steelers to win this map.
Yeah, big opening TNT there out from Lithium is going to secure a lot of early ultimate charge. They still have control of the high ground. However, the Immortality Field didn't land maybe where they would have liked it.
It's a bit odd.
Nice repositioning coming out from Lithium, but the kills are starting to rack up for Lionhearts. Quantum on the high ground is doing what they can, but they are very close. They have given over 1 tick already by playing this sort of passive high ground style, and Ruggy Ram goes down, so we might see Lionhearts actually take this. We've got a big charge out from Beam Claws is going to take Quantum out of the fight also, who did have the configuration tank form. A really, really strong attack from Lionhearts.
Yeah, that was a pretty good attack, and I was thinking just then that the important thing is just kill Lithium before he gets Bob, because if you then have to deal with Bob, it is gonna be another member that you have to deal with. It gives Steelers time to return. So we are in overtime now, and Bob is very close to being out, so we want to watch out for how the supports are going to deal with it in Lionhearts to keep their team members up. We do already have the Coalescence online, which can be used offensively, but more importantly in this composition, we do want to see it be used defensively to protect the tanks while they deal the damage.
Yeah, of course, Lithium now has Bob online ready to go, and Bob is on the field, and nice angles here as well. It means that Lionhearts can't really afford to stand in one place and take too much damage. However, Beam Claws now has Quantum isolated, and with a bit of help from that Moira Orb taken down out of the fight. The right click out from Elroy with that Fire Strike is going to get rid of Roman Sparta, but Lionhearts definitely the victors in this team fight so far. Self-destruct out as well. We're going to get rid of Lithium. Steelers holding on to this non-3-3 composition might not have been the play for them here.
And look at that, how Ruggy Ram actually used his Transcendence at the end there, which was never going to be able to keep the team up, but it crucially now means they don't have that for the next fight. And this puts Lionhearts in a really good position to actually bring this payload further on, because there isn't that defense from Steelers. He's going to be switching over onto the Ana now, looking for key sleeps, and of course playing for that Nano Biz, which undoubtedly he'll use it onto Elroy.
I mean, this is a real.
Does have his Earth Shadow, by the way.
Yeah, this is a real ladder desperation pick. Lithium moving over onto the Bastion, wants to just try and get in as much damage as they can and hope that they can stop Lionhearts in their tracks. However, they are going to have the Graviton Surge and they're going to have the Coalescence. It's not a terrible combo. Self-destruct, however, coming out first. No kills on the back of it. Slept on the back of the Graviton Surge. All tied up, and a big shatter onto Lionheart might be where Steelers finally put a stop to the inexorable press of the payload as we also have the configuration tank form online. That's one out with the main tank down already. Elroy coming in swinging for the best, and that noise you can hear is Bastion telling you he is on fire as Lithium comes in, secures the final kill, and eventually stops the push coming in. Oh no, we've got a pesky Moira on the payload. Is that going to be enough? Yeah, that's going to be it. However, one heck of a push out from Lionhearts. Steelers have a lot to live up to in this next round.
Lionheart's communications totally broke down at the end there. They used 5 ultimates in one go in that last fight, and then it was after that that Steelers brought out the configuration tank and were able to follow up on that. And that obviously puts you in that position where you just have nothing to go against that, and you're pretty much left for dead. But you are right, Phil. They got so far. They actually got so much further than I really expected them to. They got those 44 meters 05 on the board. And so Steelers, we saw them do a good attack the first time and then really start to struggle as it got more towards the end of the map. So this is something that they're going to be very aware of. Want to be thinking very strongly about how they're using their ultimates, how they're doing their engages. As I've said a couple of times in this cast so far, is that they're not always the best at following up on a specifically chosen target. Now, it looks like their attack isn't going to be anything like their last one. They're actually just going to be going for that Ana Sombra 3-2-1 GOATs kind of situation. The only way it's going to differ from Lionheart's is having the Reinhardt instead of the Winston, which means that he won't be able to dive and be a part of any of that. So that may potentially make it more difficult, but it does mean that they can move straight to the point, which could force Lionheart's to actually start to come to them.
Yeah, of course, lots of ability to get out of the way of these incoming ability and damages. So Steelers on the approach now. They're going to be coming up main. Lionheart's a little bit split. They've actually gone for a split approach themselves here, Steelers, with a couple of people going for the high ground approach. A couple of people, in fact, Ruggy Ram on their own, completely caught out in the cold there, away from the main team. That puts them down already, and they only have one more go at this.
The thing is, Ruggy Ram was in a fairly okay position for an Ana, but obviously you want to, you expect your team to move forward so you can then have that line of sight, and the enemy team will be focusing on them instead. But Steelers were being a little bit too slow with their engage, and that left Ruggy Ram very vulnerable. Lithium, well, they know to expect a Sombra. Okay, he's going to get that hack, but there's not really all that much he can do on his own.
No, but, you know, causing a little bit of trouble, gets the hack over onto the D.Va, gets a reasonable amount of ult charge, just get hacked themselves. Immortality field out from Rugram, who makes the quick swap over onto Baptiste. However, they lose the Immortality field, and then the Reinhardt. Yes, Lithium gets Rix as part of that exchange, and the EMP comes out from Lithium. Maybe this is going to be enough, because Carulia's coming in big here with that high charge Zarya beam, and those right clicks might be enough to do this. We've got the nano boost over onto Beam Claws, and a kill coming out from Kai also, but we lose Beam Claws at the end of the fight, and it is just going to be Kai doing the best to keep this alive. They want to back out here because they've nearly got a few tools here online to flip this fight around.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, because it's already in overtime, you're not really doing all that much to try and stall out the point, so you're just really feeding over ult charge. So Lionheart should have just been like, okay, I'm not going to be able to stop this on my own. I'll just back out. And Lithium, he had to use that EMP there because it was the only hope they really had of even getting point A control. But Lionhearts do have their own EMP ready to go for the next fight. And with things like the amplification matrix online for Steelers, this is where they want to use it.
Yeah, and of course the EMP comes online, cancels out the amplification matrix, hits 4 of Steelers, and so far it's a 1-for-1 trade, but we lose the main tank for Steelers. Quantum, however, coming in to equalize, taking out the support for Lionhearts. Ruggy Ram getting one of their own. You forget, of course, that Baptiste also has some attack capabilities, so able to get a kill on the end there. Steelers come out on top of that fight and keep the payload moving forward.
It's gonna keep on going, but now there's still time, and this is the kind of nice thing for Lionhearts, is they know that essentially all they need to do is actually kind of dislodge these players off of the payload, because then over time will run down, and there's still plenty of time until they get to the same point of the map. But they do want to start building up their defense fairly early, because you're getting to the point where you only really have one fight before they've capped this next point.
Yeah, Rix, though, with the preemptive rally is going to allow a bit of armor onto the team, but they need to get in the contest. Right, we've got 1 meter 64 left on the payload to go. Shatter comes out, does manage to get a couple of targets there, but both sound barriers keep it into the fight also, and another massive EMP out from Lithium hits 5, and Lionhearts well, coming out pretty much on top here as they get rid of Lithium. And the point has not been capped yet. There's no extra time. Lionheart's coming in big with that additional damage. Just got to get rid of one lone Brigitte on the point. Lionhearts are going to take us to 2-1 in the series, claiming Numbani.
Thank you, base nano boost, I think is pretty much what they have to be saying for that last fight there. But yeah, I mean, after seeing the first round, Lionheart's probably not the team. I mean, who else is going to get the play of the game, right? Quantum absolutely popped off on the Symmetra. He dealt so much damage.
Yeah, I say this a lot every time it comes up, like, oh, Symmetra's just a troll pick. Like, yeah, okay, a lot of the time. But you forget how much damage she can do when she's fully charged. It's kind of nutty.
Symmetra is a troll pick if you don't know how to use Symmetra. But when you know how to use Symmetra, Symmetra is. But no, I mean, yeah, I that was part of the reason that I actually thought Steelers would take this map, because their first attack was just so successful, and it kind of slowed down a bit towards the end. But Lionhearts did learn from that, and they were just a little bit better with in general how they kind of responded to fights and managed their resources. And of course there was that one time where they used 5 ultimates in one go, but it doesn't really matter right now. But there's no way that you could say that was not a close game. That was definitely very heated, very close, which means that even though it's sat at 2-1 right now, I don't think either of us are any the wiser as to who is going to be taking Route 66, which is going to be our next map. Yeah.
So one of the things I am glad for is this is not the last time we're going to be seeing these teams. It may not even be the last time we see them go together if the playoffs go right for them, both these teams at the top of the bracket, just kind of playing for top seed now.
I think one thing that we can say for certain about these two teams is they're both very fun to watch.
Yeah.
The teams are working together, like regardless of whether or not there is mistakes in how they are doing that, they're working together. And so a lot of the decisions they're making have been made at least somewhat as a group. And that's always fun to watch rather than kind of seeing one person go off and try to carry and just evidently completely not be working together with the rest of the team. And so that is really what is fun about these two teams. I would like to see more disengages. I really would. But
are we sure they have an S key? They just have the W key, right?
Right. I mean, yeah. Come on, Lucio. You gotta move backwards a little bit. Whip the team into shape. Come on now. But no, it is so much fun, and it's very nice to see. It's nice to see these high school players kind of showing that level of fun on heroes that aren't just the obvious DPS heroes. I mean, Quantum, we know that he's a DPS player, but he's been getting a lot of value on the Brigitte. Elroy is another person to point out. You know, he's been doing very, very well on the Reinhardt, getting a lot of nano boosts off of Raguram. And that has just really allowed him to kind of be enabled. And it doesn't always work out. No, it doesn't. But is it fun to watch? Yeah, it is fun to watch.
Yeah. And that's what we're here for. It's entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's something that's been really great. And there is not one person in this game that hasn't seen value thus far. There's not one person who's kind of falling behind. And sometimes you feel bad as a caster because you feel like you never mention the supports quite as much as you do the other players. But I really think that the supports have been doing some good stuff as well, and some notable things.
Yeah, absolutely. Worth noting, we are going to be having a substitution in this next round. Lionhearts subbing out Beamclaws, currently playing on Belong Ward 30. Going to be moving out Mean Machine, coming back in as we go over onto our next map.
What a cool name, dude.
Yeah.
Is the Mean Machine the name of the van from Scooby-Doo?
That's the Mystery Machine. You might be thinking of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, possibly.
I have no idea what that is.
Hang on,
Judge Dredd, apparently.
Dredd. There we go.
I don't even know what that is.
I think that says a lot about how old both myself and the producer are compared to you. But anyway, let's not talk too much about age gaps. We are, of course, as you said, been going over to Route 66. Now, based on what we've seen from these two teams so far, care to make any kind of predictions of what we're going to see and how that might work out?
DPS, I think.
DPS.
I mean, so in the Chinese and Korean regions in sort of season 3 contenders time at the end of last year, it was really popularized to run the quad DPS on Route 66. And I think that's potentially what we'll see. I don't know what Mean Machine's role is, because so far Beam Claws has played a number of different main tanks, so it doesn't necessarily suggest to me that Beam Claws has that lack of hero pool, which suggests to me that maybe Mean Machine comes in as a DPS, potentially as a wrecking ball or something like that, and that they will go for that more kind of DPS heavy sort of composition. Of course, there is that chance that you end up seeing some goats be played, but I think thus far, given what we've seen from the teams, I think if they were going to primarily be focusing on goats, then they wouldn't necessarily be making substitutions, unless like Beam Claws has got a bedtime that he's going to make it to or something like that. I mean, you never know. You never do. Well, what time is it? It's 8 p.m. So yeah.
Maybe he's got work early.
Yeah. We don't know what these guys do.
We don't know anything about these guys.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, as I say, it doesn't really help when you don't entirely know their roles and their hero pools and things like that. But it really wouldn't shock me. I mean, Steelers, I could definitely see trying to run the bunker kind of defense. I think their use, particularly with Yanni on Yanni. Oh, sorry. Not Yanni. Wow.
Check your notes. Be
Who
professional.
has been playing their Batiste?
Oh, what, for Lionhearts or for
The Steelers.
the Steelers? Ruggy Ram.
Ruggy Ram. Right. Okay. Wow.
Can we delete that from the VOD, please, producer?
Completely just lost track there. I was like, oh yeah, Yanni. I saw him on Batiste, and then I was like, wait, hold on, he's on the wrong team.
Wrong team.
Anyway, no. So they have Steelers have been getting a lot of value out of the Batiste, because even like when they were using him with the Symmetra composition they were running, they timed the immortality field perfectly to get so much value out of that. And we've seen how hard Lionhearts have kind of found it to go against their bunker composition, particularly on Paris. So it wouldn't shock me if we were to see that, but of course we don't know just yet. And I'm kind of excited to find out, because I think Route 66 is one of those maps where you do sometimes see the kinds of heroes that you don't necessarily see on other ones. I mean, there's always that one guy who loves to bring out a Junkrat. I don't want to see that today, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Junkrat with a mercy pocket, just rip tires for days. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's annoying, and it's also like, oh, come on, like, are we playing in silver? Really?
Play a skilled hero, come on. No aim, no brain. I'm a Junkrat main.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, going into games, we'll find out. Okay, interesting here. So Mean Machine actually looks like he is going to be starting out on the Reinhardt. So, I mean, this is something that we were seeing Beam Claws play anyway, which completely supports my bedtime hypothesis.
We'll find out after the match. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we will. We'll figure it out. But, okay, so Steelers, they're going to be playing, something more DPS heavy, running the Hammond instead of going for no main tank. And they're actually got the double supports. Not too sure how much value a Lucio is going to have in this composition, as most of these players will be far away and not on the ground. And sound barrier maybe not the most useful of...
Yeah.
Ultimates? Oh, no, there we go. He's switching over.
Yeah. It was almost like for a little bit of speed out the door, but it seemed like no one actually capitalized on it. Kai?
Foul flies. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Kai almost managed to throw down Ruggy Ram. Ruggy Ram coming out of that with like 3 health. Very lucky to get out alive. So Steelers are going to start making some progress here, getting 1 kill already. Of course, a Pharaoh without the boost that time, able to get rid of Roman Sparta, and Carulius piling in so much damage with these projectiles. And in fact, a lot of his targets just get blown out of his way there, and the hack does come through. But, you know, Hanzo, not the worst person in the world to be hacked. You don't lose that much utility out of it. Quantum already just about has the barrage online ready to go. They've not got a lot to follow it up with, but honestly, when you're generating barrages this quickly, maybe you can just afford to pop them on your own. Does know where they are, going to come around, finds the barrage targets, finds 2, gets both supports, and Mean Machine falls down to the Storm Arrow. Quantum gets the finisher onto Rix. That's going to be well, a damaging team fight for Lionhearts, to say the least.
That was actually huge, especially given that on the side of Lionhearts, the biggest counter to the Pharah that they have was the Zenyatta. And so sneaking around and ensuring that the Zenyatta was your first victim with the barrage pretty much gave you free reign. And we actually seen Lionhearts switching things up now. So they have four heroes on their team that can deal with the Pharah. They have the Ashe, they've got the Roadhog, they have the McCree, and they have the Ana. And of course, these ultimates can work in conjunction with one another as well, but it's going to really prevent Quantum from having such an easy time and really just try and kind of soften this not double sniper, Pharah's not a sniper, but the double projectile composition that Steelers are running.
Yeah, Lithium in the back here looking for a hack target. Carulius also in the middle of a flank looking for somewhere to put this dragon where it's not going to go to waste. Out it goes. Sounds like it's doing a little bit of damage. No kills out on the back of it yet, but does force them down off the high ground. However, Kai over again on the Ashe, and we've seen just how good they are on this hero, does manage to break this team fight around them. So that is going to be Lionhearts once more actually finding a way to stop Steelers. Steelers are going to lose a lot of their momentum on that fight.
Yeah, I think Lionheart's going to be looking to use Bob in the next fight, but of course it's worth noting that Aggression has the Valkyrie, which will be able to provide that extra damage that will allow Bob to be brought down way faster. Although I say that, actually, and Aggression is going to be switching over to the Ana, which sort of makes sense as they've chosen to go over for the Genji instead. And as we've already spoken about how the Ana works very, very well with the Genji, it's a smart decision. They do still have the Transcendence that they can rely on to help them throughout these fights, but of course there is that decision whether you're going to use it offensively or defensively.
Man, Kai has been so good with these TNTs, always getting the follow-up shot, and there we go once more, taking Lithium out of the fight, has used the bomb, has also forced out the Transcendence from Rukiram. So Kai, Roman Sparta again coming in here on board with the Roadhog, able to get rid of Quantum. It seems like Lionhearts, with this quick swap, have managed to completely stymie Steelers in their offensive push.
Yeah, and Lionhearts, you know, when we look at the ultimates that they do have, they have two particularly that is really going to stop Steelers from having a fairly easy engage, with the Supercharger allowing them to deal 50% more damage, and of course the Deadeye, which will force Steelers to go back because they won't want to be out in the open when that comes online. So again, these are just ultimates that are going to really help eat time away on the clock, especially while Steelers have not yet achieved the ultimate charge that they are going to be looking for with the Dragon Blade and of course with the Nano Boost.
Yeah, Rick. A little bit of leeway because we've got the sound barrier in over the top, which completely shuts down that Dragon Blade that came out from Quantum. Rookie Ram does manage to get rid and dislodge Mean Machine, but honestly, after you've won that fight so convincingly, it's not that big a deal.
So much of this really is coming down to Kai. You already said it, Phil, but he's got such a good line of sight into this entranceway, and he's very good at hitting those shots as well. Okay, Yanni, he's the main DPS now. We've got another Bob online. The Dynamites are going in at the exact right place to not only cause the burn damage, but once again dissuade Steelers from making that engage. And they don't have many options as far as the route that they are going to take in. Looks like they're actually going to be going for the other entranceway as well here. But they don't have anything online, and Lionhearts have a fair amount.
Yeah, and of course, Lionheart's going to afford to play quite a bit of range here. And even if Steelers get close, Roman Sparta has the whole hog ready to go, and we are going to see support bot taken down. So 5v6 for Steelers, exactly where you would like to be. Main healer offline, lots of utility offline. Steelers maybe don't need the ultimates now. They can afford to just get a little bit more aggressive, but Lionhearts are kiting away. And of course,
Bob.
That's an equalizer. Bob, the seventh man you didn't know you needed. We're going to see the main tank go down. The D-Mech also, we do lose Roman Sparta, however, who still has the whole hog.
Nano Cree.
Nano Cree, how often do you see that in your games? Yanni once more coming up big though, getting kills where they should not be getting kills. Rix now has the High Noon ready to go also. Once more in the fight, and might not even need it here because it looks like Lionheart's, well, gonna use it anyway. Not able to burn through the shield, not able to get the flashbang above the shield. Big nade coming out from support, but also and the whole hog in over the top. It shreds the shield. It's coming around the corner, and he gets stunned out of it without even breaking the shield of Quantum, who has the rally online, ready to go. Rix is gonna get the D-Mech though. So that's going to be one, a lot of utility, a lot of health down already. Quantum gets the equalizer with Yanni, who's been such a star player.
Oh, come on.
With the flank shutter. 2 with the fire strike, 1 with the hammer, and the follow-up coming in from Rookie Ram. Yeah, you're going to get hooked, but it doesn't matter because you absolutely took that fight. What a shatter coming out from Elroy.
And Steelers were having such a hard time dealing with this composition, but the second the fight came to the low ground and was no longer based up on the catwalks, that's when they were able to take advantage of it with the Earth Shatter. So it does leave them, of course, to get this next point. Lionheart's changing things up for themselves, bringing in the Sombra, having that Goat's Core very similar to what Steelers have. And this does put Steelers ahead, but aggression does get hacked out, of course, meaning that Lionhearts can start to build up their ultimates.
Yeah, Steelers coming around the corner now. Going to be a lot of free progress given over here as Lionhearts opt to back out and maybe wait for Yanni to come back in. That sound barrier is going to be key to countering a lot of what Steelers are going to look to do here. But a lot of progress given over already. Steelers keep pushing this payload up. Hack comes out, but luckily a Transcendence and a protected barrier out with the Self-Destruct in over the back. Coming out from Carilli's not able to find anything. Yanni, in the confusion, gets rid of Elroy, and we've now lost both main tanks. Lithium comes in, has the Graviton Surge, has the high charge, managing to get 2 already on the back of that, and the chase is on to get these last few stragglers down to 25 seconds now, and in the fight. Oh, big displacement coming out with that whip shot and an EMP out from Kai. Hits 4 of the 5. Elroy going to be left alone, unhacked on there. Rookie Ram is able to survive it. Brings out the sound barrier, keeps Steelers alive, and we're going to see support bot also using the Transcendence wants to just keep Lionhearts in the fight as long as possible. Mean Machine coming in, gets a kill at the end. Kai gets 1, but 2 coming back straight away from Steelers, and this is down to 2v3. Yeah, big shatter coming out, but Steelers look like they may just have enough to do this. The Self-Destruct is going to be good for buying space. You're not going to get any kills out of it. Steelers now in full possession of the payload. Going to push it those final few meters, but of course, with the defensive spawn advantage for Lionhearts, this might be as far as it goes. Graviton Surge gets to eat, nothing doing for Roman Sparta. Steelers, great presence of mind from Turelius. They're able to flick and catch that straight away. How long is this fight going to go on, guys? Put us out of our misery with the EMP to round things out at the end of the fight.
God, that fight really did go on forever, didn't it? Yanni tried so hard to maintain control of the payload, but of course he just kind of was left on his own. And yes, Steelers, they managed to get that last point, but of course it's going to be in overtime. I'm starting to get a bit of deja vu from Nimbani, not going to lie.
Right, folks.
Yeah, Lionhearts, they held such a terrific defense for a lot of that second point particularly, but obviously where that left them was then because they changed their composition to match what Steelers had already built up percentage by that time, and so as they entered into these fights on the third point, they already had resources that they could use while Lionhearts were essentially just trying to build theirs up. It was eco fights for them, and of course when you're getting closer and closer to that final moment, you're just not in a great position to be taking those fights, and it does get very brawly at the end there. But Lionhearts, they have their own chance to do their own attack here. Of course, going to be looking to finish it before overtime becomes, part of the equation. Actually running the exact same. Oh no, not the exact. Oh no, yeah, the exact same. I was like, wow, a diva. I remember when they used to be part of Overwatch. I don't know why I became Bristolian, but
I like the fact that you went for old and instead became West Country Fun.
I became Bristolian. I'm not entirely sure. They probably don't have the internet for Overwatch over in the West Country.
Well, I mean,
on their farms. Okay. On their farms. Yeah, I know. Okay, well, Bristol's a real city, but beyond that.
Well, Kai coming out on the Sombra, no surprises there, but an early hold coming out from Steelers. Big anti-nade out already from support bot is going to make this a lot harder. The hack, good, but not enough to secure the kill. Coming out of that fight with 26% of the EMP is pretty good. And this is the thing, though. We've seen Lionhearts win these fights in the neutral a huge amount of the time, and Mean Machine, even though Elroy had the shatter online ready to go, they got hacked. they couldn't use it. Mean Machine has to back out there because, not good enough, not quick enough. As we're going to see the kills from Steelers start to stack up. Maybe this is going to be it for the Lionhearts' first push. They got overconfident. We saw Mean Machine over-aggress, and that's going to leave the team high and dry as Steelers come back in with the main tank. Rookie Ram has the nano boost, and the shatter comes out from Elroy. And that's a lot invested already, and we see also Support Bot has the nano boost used already. That's the EMP I was looking for. Coming in big with the shatter in over the top. Mean Machine coming in looking for some cleanup, using that hammer like it's a broom. Gets rid of Quantum as well. Roma Sparta still holding on to a lot of this ult charge, able to aggress in, has both the barriers ready to go. It doesn't care that there is a bubble there because the charge comes in from Mean Machine, gets rid of Carulius, and Lionhearts look like they're in a position to complete here.
And Lionhearts, they kind of did a risky play because the whole point that Steelers were holding very far forward is to try and fit in that next fight. And so Lionhearts actually continued on the fight, which sort of prevented Steelers from having that kind of advantage because it was constantly pushing them back, so they couldn't push back forward to have a further forward fight. And of course it is risky because there is that risk that Lionhearts lose out if they do lose a member, but of course it all worked out for them in the end, allowing them to take a pretty swift first point. And now the question is, can Steelers hold a defense on this point as quite as good as Lionhearts was?
Yeah, well, there's an EMP, gets 3, but again doesn't get the Lucio. You've got to get the Lucio because otherwise in fact the damage through the hack was good enough to go right through the sound barrier, but you typically want that to be in play. Steelers, however, managing to get Rix and Yanni and Kai in quick succession. Steelers looking like they may once more be in control of the fight as the Fire Strike rounds things out.
It's a return to, of course, Quantum with his hyper-aggressive Brigitte play, which we all like to see. And obviously the great thing about playing an aggressive Brigitte is when you use the flail, you're, of course, allowing your teammates to have access to your Inspire, so it's providing more healing to them as well. But now they're going to be ready for their next defense. Elroy, once again, has this Earth Shatter, so don't be surprised if he does jump down to use it. And, especially now Mean Machine's hacked.
Shattering over the top. Hack comes out onto Mean Machine, who gets stunned and deleted with an Earth Shatter of their own ready to go. So Steelers absolutely smashing that fight.
Yeah, that was the thing. You hack the main tank, you no longer have that shield, you can straight away put your Earth Shatter down into it. It worked very, very well and cleanly for Steelers there. And now we want to be looking at the 2 Graviton Surges here because Kai, he has an EMP, so if he can get the EMP before the Graviton Surge on the side of Steelers goes off, then that could be a really good opportunity for Roman Sparta to use his own Graviton Surge. And of course, neither of these teams have to worry about a Diva.
Well, that's one Graviton Surge out already coming out from Carulius, but a massive hack out from Kai hits pretty much everybody, but not before Quantum is able to get that rally off charge out from Mean Machine. Doesn't go anywhere except right back to spawn for Mean Machine. Steelers have thrown everything at this fight, except of course we're about to get Elroy's Earth Shatter, but they threw everything at that and are in control, but are down for the next team fight.
Yeah, both of those Reinhardts had a hard time there. Of course, both kind of been stunned or hacked, kind of out of commission. And as you say, Elroy is about to have his Earth Shatter, and once again, it could mean that they are going to be targeting Mean Machine. Yeah. Well, Lithium, so he won't have that hack available to actually then try and hack out Mean Machine, meaning that shield will be available, but here's the Graviton Surge.
Graviton Surge gets displaced, not able to put in all the follow-up damage they might like. Yanni still up, not able to find any kills on the back of the Graviton Surge, which is less than ideal. Big Fire Strike out from Elroy does a huge amount of damage. Rookie Ram has thrown in the nano boost onto Elroy with the Shatter coming in, and 2 out the Fire Strike. Once more, Steelers holding on to this. This is looking pretty grim for Lionhearts because they've had quite a few goes at this and not pushed it very far.
One of the really disappointing things about Lionheart's attack there was that as they moved forward and they managed to displace Steelers, no one stayed on the payload, so there was actually no progress being made at the same time. But I did have to laugh because Elroy charged into a little post that was able to kind of stop him in his tracks. But look, Yanni, he's got the sound barrier. He can kind of protect the team as they do make their engage. But of course, that means you don't have it defensively later.
Oh, and that's going to be another big Graviton Surge out, and 4 on the back of that. I mean, Lionhearts have got to change something up because at the minute they're just being stopped in their tracks every time.
The thing is that like I said earlier, when Ceruleus, he used his really good Graviton Surge, I wanted to see Kai use his EMP first to prevent that from happening, and then they would have been able to use their Grav. And once again, this was just Ceruleus being able to use that. And the Graviton Surge hasn't been the only good thing that's been happening, but come on. Yeah,
I mean, that's another big EMP out from Lionheart. They need to capitalize on that. We've got a Nano Boost going onto the Brig here. Maybe not its intended target. Lionheart are finally gaining a little bit of space here, but a massive shatter out from Elroy completely stuffed what looked to be a great push from Lionheart right back into the box.
And this is where I start to question why they brought out Beam Claws, because Beam Claws, he's a Grandmaster main tank, and Mean Machine is sitting down in plat. And of course, I said it's not the be-all and end-all, but the fact is when you're going against a main tank like Elroy, who gets these really opportunistic Earth Shatters, you need to have a main tank who can hold up his shield.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of this might be, now that we're in overtime, might be just they want to give Mean Machine a little bit of a chance to play because they're confident they're going through to the playoffs already.
Great, but you want to win!
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of winning, Elroy gets a kill there onto Rix, and we've got a anti-nade falling down onto Yanni, who's been doing a lot of the DPS work here for the Lionhearts. Only 2 members left alive for Lionhearts, down to 1. Kai over on the Sombra wants to keep this alive as long as possible, but just can't do it. So we are all tied up 2 apiece. Lionheart Steelers off to a map 5 in sunny Ilios.
Whoo, I love the map 5, and obviously it went really well for Lionhearts the first time, so this is going to be where Steelers are going to have to start thinking, okay, we're in this situation, we got pretty smoked last time, what are we going to do about it? But, you know, I'm a bit disappointed in how Lionhearts approached Route 66 on their attack, because there were opportunities for them to catch out Steelers before they had the chance to kind of do anything, and they weren't really utilizing those opportunities. And I do have to kind of disagree with this idea that, you know, we just want to let Mean Machine have a go. And obviously we don't know if that's what it was, but let's hypothetically assume it is. Being in the higher seeded position gives you a better advantage in playoffs, because then you end up playing lower seeded teams. And so just thinking, okay, we made it to playoffs, we can actually, you know, we're safe, we can start to let, you know, this player have a go. It's not good enough, because you're putting yourself in a worse position for playoffs. But it's looking like they may actually have, we don't know for sure yet, but it's looking like they may have another swap coming in, maybe bringing back in Beam Claw. Main tank spot has become empty in the lobby.
Yeah.
So potentially going to bring back Beam Claws, which does make sense, because it was, you know, the Beam Claws composition that helped make them be so, you know, hardcore and really successful when they were on Oasis. So we need to get confirmation on that.
Yeah. You know, it's one of these things that you've got to consider, that Arena Clash, yes, it's competitive, especially when you've got teams at this level, but having made it through trials to get into a sub position, to come through and not get any playtime has got to be pretty demoralizing. And you want to give people the opportunity to come and actually play. And, you know, yes, they would like the win, but this is a game that maybe doesn't have the same level of consequence as playoffs and as group stages.
Right, true.
I mean, we don't know for certain quite what the bracket is going to look like in terms of where our seeding is going to put people. Maybe giving over that map is going to put them against a much harder seed going through. We just don't know at this point. So let's hope that the value of giving Mean Machine chance to play on camera, on stream, is worth potentially putting yourself up against a harder seed.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, you are right. It's sort of like...
I often am.
It's a community tournament. You want to let someone... you know, have a go, but wow, I'm being berated in my ear. But you know, you wanna let people have a go, but also like you wanna win. But no, I mean, it wasn't entirely Mean Machine's problem anyway that that things started to go down in Route 66. And my kind of point about, you know, he's plat, he needs to be putting up his shield. that was a little bit rushed because obviously in the heat of the moment, but it was more to do with the fact that it's having that spatial awareness, and you obviously have to receive comms from your team. If you're not being the ult tracker, generally that goes to the main support. So I expect that's Yanni's job in the team. But when you are in that position and you know that the enemy Reinhardt has an Earth Shatter, you need to make sure that you are in the right position. So those communications have to be there, and you have to be going there and ready to put up your shield in that instance. And of course, when he got hacked out, that wasn't his fault. But in the next fight that happened, the Sombra got taken out before the Earth Shatter even happened. So he was in a good position to do that, and he didn't do it. And obviously, that's not the sole reason that they lost. But of course, it's about having that spatial awareness that you get from the more experienced main tank that is, taking that main spot on the team. That can be very, very useful.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing to consider is that main tank is often the in-game leader, is often the shot caller. And so if they lost that by subbing out Beam Claws, then it's no wonder that it didn't go the way that it should have done, because that's such a big part of team play at this level.
Yeah, I mean, it changes because, it's very common to put it on the support roles who do a lot of shot calling, especially if you have a Zenyatta, because obviously they'll end up target calling a lot because they are in charge of the discords. When you're running a Sombra, the Sombra will often, let the team know where her hacks are going, and that will be kind of the targets and stuff like that. So it does sort of change. But yeah, it does. I can see on my other monitor we are getting into the game, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to be starting on, spoiler, Ilios Ruins, which we haven't seen any Widowmaker, but we have seen some Hanzo, so maybe some Sniper will be played. Who knows? Maybe they'll just go for a kind of all brawl-out goats that we have started to see on this map in, the last however many months. But I don't know. I kind of want to see some DPS. I think it's really fun to see these two teams play it. But given how we saw Oasis go, it wouldn't shock me to see those more GOAT cores. When I'm saying that, Lionhearts, it's a bit early to say. It could change it all, in the next 12 seconds. But
I did just want to quickly throw in, I feel like we spent a lot of time bashing Mean Machine there. I think actually performance in the first third of that map was honestly pretty impressive on the attack run. So hopefully coming away from this feeling pretty good about that performance, even if it didn't translate into a map win.
Well, I said about the Widowmaker, and Kai is going straight onto it. And we've seen how he's been doing on the Ashe, running that hit scan, aim-intensive hero.
Ooh.
So I should expect he gets some pretty good value out of the Widowmaker, especially once this nade has gone down.
Well, yeah, I mean, 86% of the way to the ultimate already. We did nearly see that D-Mech come through onto Carulius. It's pretty good. Hack through is going to secure the D-Mech onto Carulius, and they get stunned out of that as well. And taken down. Rick's coming in with the right clicks taken away. And Kai in the backline, able to get rid of aggression also. And support bot bringing Beam Claws back into the fight means that Lionhearts are definitely firmly in charge at this point. And the machine gun McCree coming out with the right click, with the stun, doesn't quite find the kill, and in turn gets killed by Quantum, a brick that you cannot take any amount of focus off because they already have the rally online. Yes, they've lost their main tank, but Steelers have possession of the point. They do not want to be counted out of this. The EMP coming out from Roman Sparta already, now moving over onto the Sombra. We've seen them playing off-tank all game so far. Steelers now have their own EMP. It connects with 2, and crucially, with Beam Claws, who gets booted off the edge, hacked and taken out of commission with a minefield online, ready to go. It's a long old team fight, but Steelers are coming out on top.
That was hilarious. Yeah, as you say, the control is still remaining in Steelers' grasp. And really one of the big problems that they're having, or Lionhearts are having, is that because they're not running that Brigitte, the Sombra on the side of Steelers is just getting such free reign. But they have switched over to a Widowmaker now, so we're going to be having those Widow duels. And of course, Elroy making those dives to actually try and bring Kai down.
Yeah, Prod, every time Yanni gets a kill when they shouldn't be getting a kill, can we get a little tick in the corner? I think that'd be really fun. Yeah.
Have a little tally.
Yeah, absolutely, because Yanni has really been popping off on Lucia. It's been really fun to watch. Lionhearts have come out actually on top. Whilst we've been joking about Yanni popping off and coming out on top, they've actually secured this over Kai.
Yanni ain't no joke.
No. No, but Lionhearts have flipped this over with a bit of a swap at the end there. So Steelers now on the attack. Lionhearts looking to try and defend and match or exceed Steelers' capture.
And obviously, Quantum's going to be looking out for Roman Sparta, especially as he gets nearer and nearer to this EMP. And Elroy, it would not surprise me if he ends up using the Primal Rage to try and dislodge Kai, because they know that Kai is kind of pretty much the main threat that they have to the team right now. Yes, Lithium's job is also going to be trying to take on Kai, but Elroy can actually get up close and personal and then allow Lithium to have this sort of open area where he can just have unimpeded shots.
Yeah, well, Roman Sparta with the EMP is not going to get a chance to use it. Forgotten about Lithium. Is Kai brought back into the fight. Rix with the high noon gets booped out of the way, can only find the monkey for a target. Actually connects with the high noon. How did that happen? Aggression coming in, avenging his fallen gorilla teammate, is going to see Steelers taking control of the fight once more and blasting Lionhearts off. They are going to be coming out of that with some ults to show for it as well.
Lionhearts, they didn't actually get their percentage too far off of where Steelers were, so it could be way worse. And they do have ultimates, and crucially that EMP. So Roman Sparta is going to be looking for that in. Of course, Elroy, he spotted him straight out there.
Yeah, Lithium pop the sights means that that invisibility doesn't really do that much for you anymore. But this is getting very close to one fight territory. But a massive EMP, crucially, it gets the support, and there's no support ults online. A massive charge and a fire strike coming out from Beam Claws just completely rips the lid off of Steelers, though.
Beam Claw. This is why we have Beam Claws in the game. And it's great because obviously the EMP happens on the point, and the Reinhardt just has such free range over that area where he can cleave into everyone involved rather than as the Winston having to kind of hop about and take the Tesla cannon to everyone. And that of course gives them a great opportunity, but the self-destruct getting Kai.
Yeah, man, that is not a good sign on the back of just how impressive that last fight was, because the cleanup without those protective barriers from Steelers is huge. Lionhearts just absolutely demolished in that team fight. Steelers going to come back in, flip the point. It's overtime. There's no chance for Lionhearts to come back. Steelers are going to take us to 1-0 on Ilios.
And, 100% to 99% is certainly not the worst it can be. It still suggests that there is this kind of high composition. So Steelers, they shouldn't be relaxing too hard because Lionhearts have shown that they can give a fairly decent fight. The fact just is they changed things a little bit earlier. It put them kind of out of sync with their resources. Now looking like Lionhearts are actually going to be playing, once again, a more sort of DPS-centric composition, going for the Pharah and the Hanzo instead of running a McCree, as is a little bit more traditional for this map. But Steelers, we've seen a Quantum Symmetra already once today, and they're going to be looking to put that Bastion with the teleporter up on the top by where the windmill is. We've seen it before. It can be brutal, but because Kai is playing the Pharah, they still have someone who can access that Bastion, and so this could be a little bit more dangerous. But Ruggy Ram, he'll be wanting to put the immortality field up where the Bastion is.
Yes, they've actually not teleported onto the point. They've committed. They've taken this area under the house. No, that the teleporter is up online. Is that a bait teleporter? Yeah, I think it is. I think they wanted to divide attention, thinking they were going to come through, but the shield is down. Displays out from Kai, gets them behind that, and a barrage in. Oh, hooked out of it! What a play! What a play from Carulius. Gets them out of the barrage, nothing doing, and we've got Ruggy Ram with the amplification matrix online already. Quantum on a tear with Carulius, gets rid of Roman Sparta. Yes, Lionhearts took early possession of the point, but it is going to be so hard to dislodge Steelers with this setup.
And now they've just taken so much more control of the point and really spread out. And Lionhearts, they have the Dragon Strike, which could be a little bit of threat for a static Bastion, but of course with the immortality field available to them, he could be completely safe. And now look, they're up on the high ground, holding very far forward. There's the Dragon Strike.
Yeah, and of course that prompted the Valkyrie coming out as well, but too much healing, too much immortality available, and able to rotate away from some of that damage means that didn't really get anything on the back of that. Carulius gets taken down and into the pit by the pull from Bear Claws coming in on the Orisa, and
down.
that's going to be kills, taking Lithium down, and another environmental kill out from Bear Claws. The tank we're glad to have back in the tank.
And importantly, Lionheart's already had control of the point before that fight was won, so they are raring ahead, and we are probably likely to see Steelers change things up. It looks like they're going to be bringing out a McCree, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit more traditional for this point. But okay, no, Quantum's going to be changing over to the Soldier 76. Interesting. So they're going to be really targeting this Pharah. And this is where
Nearly has the barrage online.
yeah. So
Oh!
okay.
The Portbot taken down and into the whole hog. Roman Sparta pulls them right the way in, but they do lose Beam Claws whilst that's happening down, and the whole hog has to be diverted to get rid of the Supercharger. So this is Steelers bouncing right the way back with this variation on their DPS comp, managing to track down Yanni, who we spent so much time talking about how good they've been on the Lucio, just wrecked by the hit scan from Steelers.
But Kai's going to be coming back to play the shield break. He'll have the dynamite available. We've already seen him on this Ashe, and if he can catch anyone outside of the Orisa shield, this could be pretty brutal. Now they have a deficit, a percentage deficit enough that gives them some room to be a little bit calm and collected about it. About to have that sound barrier, which could help them with an engage. They just need to watch out for the whole hog, but other than that, they're fairly safe.
Oh, the zip and the zop drags them in.
All right.
We lose both Roadhog. Some real Roadhog on Roadhog violence in that exchange. But the boot coming in from Yanni's going to get rid of the main tank. Elroy down. Lithium down also. This fight has just been so crazily back and forth, and we're going to see Lionhearts take over once again. Steelers have got to be quick getting back into this, otherwise they will give this over.
Yeah, the thing is the Roadhog trade was so much more valuable for Lionhearts because they didn't have a whole hog online that they would have been relying on. But now they have both of their support ultimates up, so even as Steelers start to come back, this is going to be a hard task.
Oh man, and that's it pretty much over before it started, because we lose Kai. Kai and Roman Sparta take down two, including the main tank. Kai with the bob online already aggression.
Oh, the res!
Does manage to bring the soldier back in, but against the what a rocket takes Kai out, but Rick's on the other side of the pit is going to get the bean onto Quantum and take them down. So I called it at the start. We're going to map 5, map 3 to decide the series.
You literally said this is going to be the series where we go on to the very, very last point, which of course is going to be Lighthouse. Again, it's become quite a GOATS map, but after seeing what these two teams have been offering, I don't suspect that that'll be what we're seeing. Interesting if Lionheart's support bot stays on the Moira. No, okay, it's not going to. Usually when you play the Moira, it's because you want to have that sustain, but they're not going to be going for that. They're going to be going for this Sombra and a GOATS that we've seen from both of these teams, actually both going for the same matchup. So we've seen these Sombras. Kai is generally better at building up the EMPs faster, and in such a sort of isolated, secluded, kind of very tight point, that's where we could kind of see this really get a lot more value for the side of Lionhearts than for Steelers.
Lithium gets detected, manages to get the hack in onto the Reinhardt, immediately has to get back out there. However, Yanni on the Lucio gets rid of the main tank. Quantum takes a dive. It looks like Steelers have gone for the hard reset here. They know they can't take that fight, so they just want to back out and not give over any ult charge.
And that's good to see, because that's pretty much the first time we've actually seen that today after all the brawling that has been happening. They don't want to, as you say, feed over the ultimate charge, and the important ultimates like the EMP are quite slow to build with, passively, so just kind of leaving that be is the best thing that Steelers could go for. But here's the next fight starting to come in. Already had to force Lithium away.
Yeah, and very low, not quite able to get to the health pack. They might like to keep that up. The hack comes through onto Carulius also, but not a huge amount of follow-up. But what a pin coming in from Elroy, taking Beam Claws down. And that's going to be Quantum getting the follow-up. 2 tanks down, Yanni down also. Steelers looking so good in this neutral fight.
Really, really aggressive take there. It's just going to send Lionhearts straight back, and here we are in a situation where, yes, Kai, he's very close to the EMP. I've spoken about it already, but I will expect to see the Nano Boost be going straight onto Elroy, and he has the Shadow already, whereas, Beam Claws is a little bit further away. He's got some percentage to go, but he's been hacked out.
Yeah, Kaito's in the EMP, and it's a 5-man EMP. They luckily did get the rally online also, but it wasn't enough to keep Elroy in, and a massive Bionade coming in is going to look like it completely turned this fight on its head, because Lionheart's come bouncing right the way back in, taking control of the point.
Hadn't have received that nano, that fight could have potentially gone very different. But because he was given that sustain, especially through the anti-nade that was thrown onto him, he was still able to move forward and be aggressive in that fight and lead the team to take back control of the point. So that was really key. And now we're going to be looking for these two Graviton Surges, and of course Lithium, who has his own EMP.
Oh, there's the hack and the shatter. Hack of the shatter in over the back. Beam Claws takes Quantum down. Roman Sparta with a follow. We do lose Beam Claws to Ruggy Ram, however. So still quite a lot to play for here. A big Graviton Surge comes out from Roman Sparta, and that's going to be how they clear that up. Lionheart hold on to the point, and it's looking like Steelers may get one more shot of this, but that's it.
And these are probably the cleanest fights that we have seen thus far in this series, just using a couple of ultimates each time. Ruggy Ram gone over to the Moira there. It's very quick to build up the Coalescence, and he will probably use that for extra damage. But also, of course, with the sustain, not quite as important against a Goat's composition.
Oh, Elroy gets the opening pick, and the second, the third coming in as well. 4 is Steelers, with one chance left at this, come in and bring it right the way back around. But it was a very quick fight. We may see a recontest out from Lionhearts.
I think that's very likely, especially given that they have both the EMP and the Earth Shatter available. So that EMP from Kai will be really key, especially if he can hack out Elroy beforehand and prevent him from using that Earth Shatter, because we've seen how big his Earth Shatters can be, especially if he jumps down off of this high ground to go straight onto the Lionhearts team.
Oh, well, there's the EMP. It hits pretty much everybody on Steelers, and we lose Carulius. We lose Elroy, and that's going to be Lionheart in such a massive position to get this done and take us all the way to finishing off this series. EMP out from Lithium.
Oh!
It's a Hail Mary approach because there's so little Steelers left on the point. Lionheart definitely in control with the Reinhardt there. Lithium getting bullied, wants to come in, wants to try and keep this alive as long as possible. Has more time for Elroy to come in with the shatter. It gets blocked in a big way, but that's going to be Elroy down out of the fight once again. Lionheart's just got to get rid of a few last Steelers. The Lucio valiantly contesting on the point, not going to be enough from aggression, as Lionhearts at map 3 of game 5 take the series and the top seed in the group.
You said... Oh, wait, I forgot what you said. Never mind. I had something in my head and it completely disappeared, and I ruined the moment as a result.
Oh, well, that's exactly what being like a play-by-play caster is like.
No! Well, either way...
I'm sure it was a valid point.
I let me tell you it was. The Nano Brig at the end there for Lionhearts really helped, especially as it came out before the EMP from Steelers happened, because it meant that there was still that aggression that was able to be there on the point directly in people's faces before everybody got hacked out. And of course, Elroy, he was in kind of that Hail Mary situation. I think that's what I was going to say. You said it was a Hail Mary situation, and Elroy found himself in that. He had to use the Earth Shadow. It went straight into the shield, and at that point, Steelers just really had nothing to do. And I'm just very proud to live in the best city. It was very close, like all throughout the whole series, and the fact that there was strength shown from both of these teams, and in the fights, it was never kind of, oh yeah, it's definitely going to go to this team. It was always very, very close, and that made it incredibly entertaining. And so we know that both of these teams are going to be heading off into playoffs anyway, but it probably felt very nice and probably quite validating for Lionhearts to know that they beat out Steelers, because going into playoffs, that's the kind of confidence boost that you need.
Yeah, I put out a tweet a little while ago on what my predictions were for what the playoffs and what the finals were going to look like, and I do genuinely think either of these teams could end up in that grand final slot. Like that.
Good. Yeah, they're great.
And if this is the quality of games that we've got at the top level of the group stage, I'm so psyched for what playoffs are going to look like. It's going to be such a good time.
Yeah. I think that's something that's also really exciting is that this stage, this season, has felt like there's way more kind of, skilled players that we're seeing, and it makes it so much closer.
Yeah, it does. But we've got a couple more sets of skilled players coming right up for you after a short break. But we'll be back with Hunters versus Pirates for our second game of the evening.
let's get it then. me see your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up and down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. See your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up and down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the body up and down, body. Me see your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up and down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out.
Hey guys, welcome back to the second of this evening's games for Belong.gg's Overwatch Arena Clash Summer Season. I'm Big Hungry Phil. With me still, I've not driven her away just yet, is Gio. Gio, you looking forward to round 2?
Yeah, if it's half as exhilarating as the game that we just had with Lionhearts versus Steelers, then it's going to be pretty fun. And we've had Pirates, so it's going to be Hunters versus Pirates, and we've had Pirates on the broadcast so far in this group stage, and they have proven themselves to be a fairly strong team this season. But Hunters actually, neither of us have casted them this season.
No, and another team I could, in theory, claim to be a home team of mine.
You can't claim every single one to be a home team.
Watch me! But yeah, worth pointing out, Pirates have a couple of what you might call celebrities on their team. Firstly...
Oh, don't say that. That's a bit of an ego boost.
Padshak, who was on the champion team in the last split. He was previously of the Spartans, now moved back down to Portsmouth to captain a new team. And Brute, who we are happy to say has just made it through to the phase 2 of the UK Overwatch World Cup selection process. So yeah, big names.
Yeah, that's when you know that you've got someone pretty good on your team, is when they are literally onto the next phase of the UK World Cup, representing their country in the World Cup. And I mean, UK came 4th last year, so we're not a bad country when it comes to Overwatch. So that's really exciting. I mean, especially as Brute, he's an off tank. The UK is not very known for producing off tank players. We're a lot more of a main tank kind of nation. Like, every country seems to have their their role that they just are more likely to bring about. So that's a really cool thing. And then Hunters, this is kind of a team that we don't know quite as much about, Phil, because as I said, we haven't had them on broadcast yet. We haven't been able to have a look at, how their play style is. We do know that their sort of average rank when we look in sort of regular competitive Overwatch is a little bit lower than that of Pirates, sort of averaging in Platinum, a couple of Diamond players being tossed in there. So there is a little bit of a skill disparity, but of course you don't want to write anything off before you've seen it.
No, of course. Let's have a bit of faith in the Hunters. They wouldn't be here if they had zero talent. So let's see how this works out for them. It's worth noting, Hunters, this is a completely new roster for them. There are a couple of old familiars that have seemed to have dropped out. Bonchef in particular, people will remember from previous seasons. But yeah, completely new now.
So this is something that we'll probably expect to see is Pirates. They pretty much know they're going through to playoffs, so they don't want to give away any strategies. So we'll probably see them playing these kinds of compositions where they know their flexibilities in their favor. Yeah,
first kill of the game though. Tinus Manus managing to dislodge that wrecking ball there. Brute not on his normal preferred role of off-tank. It's going to be Easy 2 going down, so that's currently 1-0. And Easy 2 is the main tank. You don't want to lose the main tank in the fight.
No, not at all. But Johnny's still going to be having a go. He's actually getting a little bit kind of pincered there. And Padshak, of course, playing on the Doomfist, it really gives him the opportunity to get around the point very quickly, as well as having a Tracer on your team as well. It means the Pirates can really sort of ring circles around Hunters, and Hunters are actually starting to change things up here now, so they have more of a dive composition, although sticking on that Junkrat.
Yeah, I mean, sticking on the Junkrat's a little bit of an interesting choice, and halfway-ish to the... I guess maybe don't want to lose that investment, or maybe this is a case of this is what that particular player is comfortable on.
It's probably a comfort pick.
Yeah. Oh, Brute. Well, do you know what? We were talking about it. Brute getting taken out by Carver 20 over on the Doomfist. Nice charge comes out from Dunny, sadly. Padshak had the Meteor Strike ready to go, able to take them out, but Padshak then shown who's boss. Carver 20 once more with the mine coming in, getting the kill, doing a lot of work for the team here. Out comes the sound barrier from Isyord. So that's going to be an aggressive sound barrier, not used in response to anything. And Pirates are getting out, although back coming in with the minefield. Didn't quite catch where that dropped, though. Hunters have flipped the point, however.
I mean, you were speaking there about the sound barrier, and kind of one of the really important things here is the fact that, yes, even though Hunters were going to get the point off the back of it, Pirates didn't choose to engage because they just let it run out. They know that they'll be able to come back and be aggressive and actually take the point back fairly swiftly, as they're doing right now. Yeah. But that's the sort of thing that we should expect to see from this team, is allowing those resources to run out, having those disengages without kind of running headfirst into them.
Yeah, Easy 2 was doing a really good job of getting out of dodge there and almost managed the reset. Sadly, too much chase coming out from Pirates meant that just didn't happen for them. Stormball now on the high ground, has the Dragon ready to go. Only a couple of lines of approach for the Hunters, so this Dragon may get some value.
Potentially. I mean, Hunters, they're getting very close to a number of their ultimates. They'll have Primal Rage pretty soon, and that may be where we can see Hunters start to dislodge Pirates a little bit, although we will be at risk of a sleep from Disclosure.
Yeah, but that's one killer out from the Pulse Bomb already. Carp 20 going down, have their ultimate online. Easy 2 throwing in the Primal Rage, wants to keep themselves in the fight, but we are also going to lose, well, I mean, pretty much everybody else from Hunters on the back of a couple of key ultimates coming out there. Punch doesn't connect. Johnny taken down by the Stormbow, and a minefield to round out the kills as we hit 99 to 19. Big displace coming out from that Punch, going to stop the Wrecking Ball getting in at the Winston getting in at all.
It was just fairly easy there for Pirates. I mean, it almost felt kind of relaxing to watch that after what we saw earlier on in our previous series that we were watching. And again, it kind of comes down to the fact that, you know, Hunters, yes, they were able to get some percentage on the board, but it's because Pirates allowed them to, and then Pirates then didn't even necessarily have to use their resources, their ultimates, to bring down and win those fights. They were able to kind of win just the neutral pushes, and so they just don't really seem all that phased. And Hunters, while they don't look hyper pressured, they just look a little bit lost, especially Easy 2. I kind of noticed him kind of looking this way and that, not really knowing what direction to go in. There's not that much kind of coherence between the members, or at least that's what it certainly seems like thus far.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really stress the disparity in some of these skill levels here. You know, World Cup level players against Platinum, Diamond, Gold players, it's an uphill struggle for them. They're going to do their absolute best in this, I'm certain, but it's always going to be difficult. Sleep now comes out onto Easy 2, has to back out under constant pressure from the Wrecking Ball in the back and Brute on the Farret in the front, and the chase out from Brute is going to be big, looking to just try and hit bodies with these rockets and build that ultimate. And that's Hunter's chase back to spawn. For now, Pirates take initial control of the point.
Once again, Hunter's going to be changing things up straight back to the Winston Diva, which is what they did last time. At this point, I think they should just start doing that from the get-go, because right now it's looking like Pirates are going to be consistently coming out on DPS heroes rather than something serious like Goat. So it probably makes a lot more sense for Hunters to just come out on those, dive tanks.
Yeah, well, initiation coming out from Fact, managing to dodge the sleep coming out there. Barrage from Brute finds the main tank. Easy 2 no longer in the fight. It's a good attempt to the dive coming out from Johnny. It doesn't connect. Brute's able to back out of the way and continue returning the favor. Secures the DMEC. Doesn't get the kill, but, you know, a nice little salute to a fallen foe as they continue their possession of the payload. Payload point, whatever.
So cruel. Oh, yeah, payload point. Regardless, they're continuing possession and they're just getting more and more ultimates on the board. Yes, Hunters, they've got the nano boost, but really, who are they going to put it on? I mean, I'd like to see them put it on to Easy 2, but I'm not really convinced that Easy 2 will get all that much out of it. They're just not a very assertive team right now, and they're kind of they're taking the bait of this hamster, and it's almost like a cat looking at a laser pointer, right? They're not really kind of going for their own thing. They're not walking straight to the food they've been laid out. They're just following the laser pointer all the way there. Yeah.
Well, there's a Dragon Strike getting one. The uppercut coming out, getting rid of East 2. We also saw the DMEC coming out of that Dragon Strike. Brute holding on to... you know what? That was a nice dodge, actually, on the back of that ice block from the May, completely nullifying any value from the ultimate. Unfortunately, Padshak had cooldowns ready to go on the Doomfizz, and so there's only so much surviving you can do.
Looks so close to just taking the point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hunters fought valiantly, but sadly, the mountain that is the Pirates is just so incredibly steep, it can be difficult to even get your foot in the crevices.
That barrage at the end from Brute was one of the more impressive that I've seen before. Yeah. So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Here we go. Play the game from Stormball, and just the mechanical skill on show is really the sort of thing that turns this match on its head.
And And this is the thing with the Hanzo as well, is because he has that lunge, he can really just dart about the point. I don't know, honestly, I don't usually look at myself in the webcam, but I'm not entirely sure what's happened to my hair. It's just kind of got really fried in the excitement of that game. But no, like with the Hanzo, with the Tracer and the Wrecking Ball, the Doomfist that they were all playing in that, they're so high mobility that they can really just dance about and punish whomever gets in their way.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that for me personally, I can find really, really frustrating is any hero that has a very, very low cooldown on a mobility ability, like the lunge from Hanzo, or free mobility, like Genji with the double jump. It can be so disorienting to try and track that, especially if you, like me, are at the lower skill rankings. Like, just that ability to track that is a big skill in and of itself.
Phil, who do you main?
Who do I main? I flex. So I play a lot of main.
This is me with my.
I play a lot of main tank because a lot of my friends play support. If I get to play DPS, Doomfist or McCree. If I have to DPS.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I'm a terrible Doomfist. I never quite got the muscle memory of like the, you know, how you coordinate all of his moves and stuff. So Doomfist is not the one for me.
Okay. But moving on to talk about this game rather than our games, I like the thought of what we're seeing here from Hunters as a bunker comp goes. It lacks the main point of damage that you normally have from a Bastion, but it's still a good thought about how to run this.
This is actually one of those instances where it's slightly better to use a Junkrat because you can fire in his frag grenades into that choke point, which with their kind of splash damage can cause quite a problem for the incoming team. Of course, it won't really be an issue for Brute, who will likely just fly straight over, use his concussive blast, and just push everyone aside and then have the rest of the team clean up.
Yeah, didn't quite get the hook Hulk combo. Yep, that's exactly what we were expecting. However, Seor did manage to get rid of Fak in that, so not a, well, two very quick kills on the back of that. Unfortunately, the displacement and the placement from the Orisa shield, not quite what you would like it to be. We do get a res brought back in, so Halp 20 back and ready to fight, but Tennis Manus goes down, and whilst we did lose Brute on the Pharah there, immediately brought back in by the Pocket Mercy, and having a pocket here is such a powerful thing.
Yeah, and they have, of course, moved their defense back since it got disrupted. And I actually highly doubt that Patchak here is all that interested in building an EMP, because it's more than likely that just having a hack on a member is going to throw in enough chaos. I mean, it doesn't even really matter then when Brute is just able to kind of get that final kill. Or, I mean, actually, Stormball is the one who is credited with it. And so it just makes it very easy for Pirates to pick up this point, and Patchak already moving over to see what's going to be going on this next defense.
Yeah, last second recontest coming out from Zjord and Tennisman, but Patchak already closing the distance up, and in the face of what remains of Hunters, Pirates, the rest of them getting ready to come back into the point. Brute now swapping over onto the Soldier 76, someone we don't see a lot of these days.
No, we don't. We've seen him once today, but that was really to target a Pharah. Okay, the Immortality Field has come out, but there has been a big EMP there from Patchak, so all in all...
3 down, Pirates in full-on cleanup mode. We get a Dragon Strike out from Stormball. Easy 2 does get a parting blow there with Patchak going down. Tennisman as well, able to find Disclosure, is a huge pick if they can start to capitalize on it. They need to get in and start getting some kills on the back of that. And Tennisman does manage to get Bob onto the field. He's not actually able to contest. He's off the field. And we've got Johnny coming back in on the Wrecking Ball. Tennisman has rezzed as well. So we may actually see some defensive chops here from the Hunters as they dislodge Pirates.
Potentially, they're very close to that. Well, they have the Supercharger and the Amplification Matrix. So these two very offensive ultimates that can be used. But of course, Brute coming in and really harassing the back there.
Yeah, and a nice initiation there from the Wrecking Ball of Fak secures a couple of kills on the back of that. But a full team kill is going to be very hard to come back from. Carp 20 needs to get in. They have got the contest timer ticking, but at 4 minutes 20 seconds, we've now got the Newton's Cradle in effect.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shot coming out from Brute over on the Soldier with, again, the rocket for the follow-up. Tennis Manus does manage to get one over. Honestly, if you're a DPS player and you're in this game and you can say, I took out the off-tank for the Overwatch World Cup UK team, potentially, that's great. Now, the minefield in from Johnny, is going to... Oh, sorry, my bad. It's not actually out from Johnny. It's out from fact, making Johnny swing around the point that bit harder. And the minefield kill onto Cart 20 at the end is going to secure a pretty little time bank for Pirates.
Yeah, they got a nice one going on there. One thing that really confused me actually is the fact that there were a couple of times where FAQ got caught on one of the traps, or just kind of sat there. I mean, when he was sort of coming in for the original initial engagement, he got caught in a trap, and he just sort of almost went kind of AFK a couple of times in the last bit, and he was never killed. Like, the hunters never tried to capitalize on those opportunities where they could have potentially got something, going. They all seem to be on kind of different pages to one another. These two potentially really useful ultimates that they had in the end available to them there didn't go used. They took them to the graves with them, and it just seemed a little bit kind of like, why? Because we know that Pirates are a very good team, and here are some tools that you could use to make it a bit easier for you. You should use them.
Okay, however, Hunters, once again, I can see the thought processes behind what they're running here. Like, they're clearly thinking about how they can do this, and I it's great to see.
I think they are definitely expecting there to be a bunker style composition here, so obviously having the Hanzo for the shield break, having the Winston so you can make that dive. The Moira is kind of interesting, obviously for the sustain, but not necessarily the ultimate for the ultimate hero that you will want for a kind of dive composition onto a bunker. But nonetheless, they are gonna try and play to what they believe is right and potentially what their strengths are.
Well,
although having
rotation coming out from Tennis Manus, getting in around the back, looking for a hack target. The dive comes out, but Easy 2 immediately taken down by the Stormbow, which of course leaves Johnny very much exposed and at risk of being staggered out. But there is number one on the hammer kills. Brute finding number one against Johnny there. Let's keep a running tally of those for now, shall we, guys? I think we're going to see a few.
You're going to keep one?
I'm going to keep a tally.
All right, you do that. But going against the turret there is pretty hard. We saw Johnny manage to get past it, but he got demeched super quickly, so it didn't really matter. They have to, target these things if they want to deal with them. You kind of can't, in Overwatch, you can't afford to just ignore certain things that are on the board and hope that they're not going to affect you.
Well, this is a very frustrating bunker to try and break if you don't necessarily have the gameplay tools available to do it. And Brute is just able to stand here and pepper in that damage. Now, good dive location coming out from Easy 2, and it does get followed up, but there's just too much damage on board for them to really secure that. And, we didn't get the hammer kill that time. In fact, the turret getting most of the credit for those set of kills.
Brute probably going to feel a little bit dismayed about that, and he didn't have to use the molten core, so that's still going to be sitting there. And of course, Dapper has the Valkyrie, but I'm not sure at what point they're going to require it. Johnny actually they're going to be switching back over to this Rhine Zarya, which has been something that Hunters have been dancing around a little bit, and they seem to like the idea of playing it. Not necessarily ideal for an attack on Paris, in my opinion. Perhaps they're just going to try and bypass this attack, but the Molten Core.
Oh, the Molten Core, and then of course the pull from the Orisa to drag them all back in. But we have got a sleeping Brute on the point, just having a nap in that molten cheese.
Resting in his own juices.
Slowly cooking in his own juices. His body temperature soaring to several hundred degrees.
Heat stroke is a thing here in Paris, the city of love. I should remind. Okay, all right. Serious casting, Phil. Okay. Come on. All right, Pirates. Yeah, they're still sitting on the Valkyrie, which would give them some damage boost, but I am not entirely sure that they will require it. That was a massive anti-nade as well, and Hunters, they're close-ish to the Dragon Strike, but I think Pirates will use a really strategical tactic where they just move out the way. Yeah,
well, Stormball goes to try and get a couple of Hail Mary kills on the back of a Dragon Strike. Sadly, doesn't connect with anything. Here is a Bob, though, and he goes sailing into the back line and starts peppering in that damage in a big way. And that's going to be hammer kill number 2 coming out for Brute. Hammer kills, 2 for Brute.
See, you're doing all the work of counting the hammer kills when it should be our producer.
Yeah, it should definitely be a producer's job here.
We want a tally. Come on. But yeah, less than a minute now. Less than a minute now. So Hunters, they still have one more chance, but that pretty much is going to be it. And with FAQ having the supercharger, I don't expect it to go too successfully because there'll be so much damage coming in.
Yeah, of course. And they've got the Valkyrie, so they can really afford to stack that damage boost, which is exactly what they're doing. And we're seeing the Battle Mercy coming out. That's going to be 2, 3, and hammer kill number 3 for Brute to wind things out. 12 seconds left to go. On the point, out comes the Dragon Strike from Brute just to really hammer home that there's probably not going to be another attacking push coming out from Hunters.
Dude, that was the most cursed kill feed I've ever seen, where there was like 3 mercy kills and then a hammer kill. Like, super cursed, dude.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and you get the impression that Pirates know
Really?
just how outskilling they are Hunters, just on a pure SR basis, and maybe they aren't making the most sensible picks, and I think they are just having fun with this.
Phil, have I ever told you have a really good read on people?
Yeah, thank you.
I just noticed. No, I mean it's really hard to kind of talk about it in the same way that we talk about a lot of games, because when you get into this position where there is a skill disparity, it's like both teams are obviously aware of it, and Hunters, they're trying, and it's actually probably a good opportunity for, afterwards they can look back and try and have maybe a little bit of an analyze to see where it is they could have done better, and it could be a really good learning opportunity. Yeah. But it's obviously not going to be the same caliber of game that you see against teams that are evenly matched. I mean, even if Hunters were playing against a team that is the same kind of skill level as them, even though obviously you're not going to have that top level Overwatch gameplay that we see from the really high skill teams, it's still going to be kind of even fights in a lot of cases, because the team's going to be making very similar decisions. But in this case, it's just there is such a difference and such a skill gap between these two teams that it's very hard to kind of accurately, or not accurately, but sort of really give kind of proper analysis as to what the difference is, because it's not down to small nuances. It's not down to tiny mistakes that sort of have that chaos theory effect. It's down to one team just has a much bigger understanding of the game. Yeah,
and this is, as you were saying, it's definitely a thing they can learn from, because hopefully they can come back and look at these odds and go, oh, this is the understanding that Pirates had that we were lacking. And so, this sort of experience, it might not be the most positive to play through, but you're right, as a learning experience, it is second to none.
I have to say, so Brute's on the Torb again. If Brute decides that he's just going to play the Torb for the rest of the game, I'm going to be really angry that he didn't play Torb on the first map, because he could have just had a 100% Torb.
Yeah.
Done his best engineer cosplay and had a 100% Torb series.
Yeah, I mean,
and then we would have had a really accurate representation of how many hammer kills you can get.
Are we looking for an engineer cosplay based on the most recent event skin? Or?
Oh, of course, the swimwear skin. Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, of course. With the squeaky hammer.
Yeah, the little bum bag. Oh, and of course the water turret.
Yeah.
I really want one.
Yeah, big TNT coming out from IDWBU, secures 1 opening kill. It was a really good rotation coming out from Hunters, though. Again, I like the thought behind it. They're coming away from where they know the majority of the damage is. Brute has to get out of dodge there. A lot of damage coming his way already, but able to help with this turret. And his River Gun take a few more out. And that's going to be the turret getting credit for the DMEC and the kill over onto the Mercy. And it's hammer time, everybody. Oh, he gets displaced and is not going to get kill credit, sadly.
I mean, Phil, I have to say, it kind of reminds me of, like, when your nan knits you a jumper with ugly cats on. It's like, I like the thought behind it, but I'm not going to wear the jumper. You know what I mean? Like, it's not working.
It's the thought that counts, but sometimes the thoughts are disgusting.
Yeah. So, I mean, Hunters, they've got their Valkyrie now, but there's not really an ideal time to use it at the moment while no one else on the team really has anything to offer. But it wouldn't shock me if they use it just to try and initiate their push. I mean, they are going to be doing it.
Yeah, Padshak now playing on the Genji House. The Dragon Blade gets 2 with that. We also see Bob coming into the fight, getting 1 kill already as well. And IDWBU gets the focus down onto the Mercy. Disclosure. Sorry, not Disclosure. Lids taken down as well. And that's going to be, is that number 4 for hammer kills for Brute? I might have lost count.
I haven't been counting. It's been your job.
I think it's 4. 4 hammer kills for Brute.
And the really kind of disappointing thing that you really want to be seeing go a lot better for Hunters is in these fights, even though they're losing them, you kind of want to see some economic value coming out of it. And whereas they're pretty much building passive charge and not all that much above that. And so they're not getting closer to their ultimates while Pirates are consistently lapping them.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to say Idwabu in the back on the Ash, just able to rein in uncontested damage like this is such a hard position to dive because, you know, you dive the Ash, you've suddenly got all the people on the other side. That's 5 for Brute coming in with a hammer kill. Oh, he pops the overload and he's hacked off Easy 2. Easy 2 throws in the Primal Rage, has had enough of the hammer kills, wants revenge, wants the kill, but there are just too many Pirates there, and Idwabu with a bit of help from the Lucio is going to take them down. Such a shame.
Of course, still holding on to the sound barrier, which again, you know, these kind of defensive ultimates, they're just not really requiring much use of. Now, Hunters do finally have a Dragon Strike, so they have at least something, but there is less than a minute left. So there's not much time, and they just haven't even been able to get a single tick.
Yeah, okay, but Tennis Manus has a bead on a couple of people trapped in there. Oh, the Bob gets thrown out, displaces him, still has the Dragon on board. Sound barrier out, and 2 kills, 3 kills with ultimates. We get a self-destruct kill onto Fact, but Idwabu coming in big with the Bob pick, and Fact rezzed back into it. It's going to be a full team wipe. Hunters will have 2 ultimates and can just about manage another team fight here.
There's another chance. There's another chance. Hunters, they've got some things that they are holding on to. Actually just switched onto a Tracer as well. I don't think a Tracer is really going to do all that much against what Pirates have, but it could allow them to get to the point a little bit quickly to actually stall out their chances.
Yeah, well, here's Padshak with another Dragon Blade. He gets 1 with the blade itself, 1 with the dash reset, and a kill coming out now for Tennis Manus. Gets 1 with the Dragon Strike and gets the better of Brute as Brute goes to 6.
There's a hammer kill.
6 on the hammer kill for Brute. As that's going to be round 1 complete with a full hold for Pirates.
So this means that, in theory, the best Hunters can hope for is a draw, but the likelihood is that Pirates will just have to get that initial 33.3% and move straight on into the next game. So Pirates not got a huge task facing them right now, and this is pretty much the cusp that they have to cross for them to win out this series. We already know that they're going to be heading off into playoffs. So the important thing here really is going to be what are Hunters going to be bringing out for their defense, because Pirates at this rate have shown that they're pretty much just going to play anything and everything. They'll just sort of do what they want. Whereas Hunters, we've discussed it, there is some thought that we can see kind of going behind their compositions. It's more about their execution. So the question is, what's it going to be? So far, dive tanks on the board.
Yeah, which, you know, it's a thing we've seen them run a couple of times already, and you know, it's for Numbani, it's not terrible, honestly. You know, you've got a lot of high ground to play around with. Let's keep the dive tanks on board.
I mean, that's the thing with Numbani. That was why it's very strange when things started going over to the Goats meta, because Numbani was always known as a dive map because you had these high grounds that you wanted to be able to traverse between, and then suddenly people were playing Reinhardt and just charging straight onto the point, and these high grounds just weren't being used in the same way, except maybe to deal down a nice beefy Graviton surge. But yeah, it does look like Hunters, they are going to try and ambush the Pirates, which is going to be very difficult because Pirates do have that immortality field that they just be able to use as soon as that dive occurs and deal in all the damage they need in that time.
Yeah, good flexibility coming out from Idwabu, though, having previously played Ash, now coming out over on the Baptiste, and look how quickly that ult charge tracks up. Brute's turret's down already. And that is going to be Hunters. They've got Pirates corralled. Immortality Field is still up, now down, taken down by Johnny. And Pirates looking for a long wraparound, or are they just going to bait out some cooldowns? Yeah, Aggress back in. FAQ comes swinging in with a hammer. Does get stunned out, luckily, as his team that's keeping him alive. Dragon coming out from Tennis Manners, gets rid of Disclosure. The Immortality Field goes down as well. Here is the Amplification Matrix. You can't swing a hammer through it. Unfortunately, it doesn't damage boost the Molten Core, but that is going to be Pirates pushing back onto the core, onto the payload even. Hunters, they throw in the sound barrier. Answering sound barrier now out from Dapper. Pirates really want this point. Big shatter coming out from back, but 3 on the ground. A short range charge there gets rid of the enemy Brigitte. Immortality Field down once again. Pirates with a numbers advantage here. Just got to get rid of a couple more. That's all constructs down and off the field. Padjack back in Brig Jail, doing some work, getting some kills, about to get that 33.3% they needed. There is a Hanzo up there who gets booped back onto the high ground. Not able to trigger the recon test.
It's actually somewhat of a probably harder attack than Pirates were anticipating, and I think the main reason for that was the fact that because it was a closer fight, Hunters actually built up their ultimates. So they were using support ultimates to sustain themselves throughout that fight and be able to deal in damage and actually have a proper fight. And that's not something that has happened thus far in this series. So Pirates, of course, they were able to take that just a third of a point, that one tick that they required, but it did actually require some effort.
Yeah, it did. You get the impression that Pirates just went, we can do what we like, and that there was a sizable resistance coming out from Hunters, and I think it started to show a little bit more teamwork, a little bit more coordination. They're doing a really good job of corralling Pirates in that small health pack room, the stairs that lead down to the streets phase, but unfortunately, just not quite enough.
Yeah, they just had to kind of wait for those abilities to be, available to them so that they could then push forward again, because there's just no point in pushing forward out into that kind of fight when you don't have those things online, because if you lose a member, it puts you in a disadvantageous position. And that's just not something that's kind of worth putting yourself in, regardless of who your opponent is. And also, when you're used to that kind of being the playstyle that you have, when that's the kind of strategy that you are playing by, which these high skill and looking into like semi-professional and professional teams, it becomes kind of habit. You're not just going to push forward when you're so used to understanding the difference between engaging and disengaging.
Yeah. Well, that is going to take us to 3-0 in the series. There is a chance Humber Hunters have one more go to get a map out here. We're going to be going over to our payload map this time, which I believe is Route 66.
Yeah, Route 66 once again. So, again, we could be seeing some DPS. Maybe we'll see that Junkrat come back out for the side of Hunters, as they seem to be pretty, big fans of that. And it's one of those maps. Well, there we go. It's one of those maps that people do quite like to play the Junkrat on, particularly on defense. And Dapper. We've seen some. Okay, no, never mind.
Okay,
well, I was like, we've seen some effective Symmetra today. Are we really going to be going back to that?
Very effective Symmetra.
Brute sticking to the Torbjorn. Dapper going for the May. So this is the Song of Ice and Fire, or the Comp of Ice and Fire that people like to say.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an aggressive hold coming out from Hunters.
I want to actually see if Tinnis Manus is going to be able to get a hammer kill.
Oh, that would make... If he got a hammer kill onto Brute, I would be so happy. Because
that would be amazing. It would be like vindication.
The ultimate hubris. Oh dear. We've got friend times, everybody. Get wrecked! Yes! I got the hammer kill! Oh no, it's the other way! I got debated. I got so happy. Oh man, that would have been so cool.
Like, what is going on? There's nothing even happening here. And Tinnis Man is just kind of sat there, coming back out on the hand zone now for the next fight. But man,
look, I think Hunters know what Pirates know and what we know, which is there is a chance, but it is a very, very small chance. So why not just have fun with it?
Yeah, of course. Although getting a bit dived here.
Yeah, a little bit. Although you notice actually that as the dive came in, Fack actually pulled it back so the land didn't quite connect. It was almost like a zoning jump almost. Just like, I'm going to make you back off, but I don't want to hurt you.
I mean, Winston's do that a lot when they go up onto high ground so that they can jump back down for healing. Not that that was really probably his priority here. But it is something that you see a lot with Winston's.
Yeah, so we did see a couple of kills come out.
The Molten Core.
Oh, Molten Core in close spaces, but not really a lot of people there left to deal with it. Brute is out for blood. He wants to kill. He's going in. Are we going to get a swap over onto the hammer? Gets displaced. The hammer's out. He's coming in. Yes, hammer kill coming in. The Fortify's on board. Big nade though. It means this kill's going to take a long time. That's at 7 hammer kills for Brute and counting.
Lids was just kind of like being held there.
Yeah. Body blocked behind and in front. Not a lot you can do to wait that out.
Alright, Patchak getting back into the mech. And Hunters have a couple of ults. They do have the nano boost. They also have a supercharger actually, which potentially could be taken out fairly easily, but it could also help him deal damage onto pirates.
No, I'm a big... Oh! Yeah, Tinner's Manus gets a kill. The turbo supercharger goes down also. I'm actually a big fan of the Nano Boost whole hog combo. So if that comes out here, that could actually be a great tool. They have managed to get a couple of kills. Oh, and the Transcendence coming out to keep Brute alive in the fight. Johnny throws in the whole hog. The tire coming out also not able to find a kill, sadly. That wall coming out from Dapper 2. Good. The stun coming out also. Not enough to actually follow through. Here's a self-destruct out from Patchak, and it finds 2 on the high ground. Both tanks down. Great play from Pad.
I think it's kind of disappointing that Easy2 didn't use the nano in that fight, because it's not like there were only a couple of people in the fight. Of course, people started to go down as it went on, but he could have done that to try and, you know, prolong the life of one of his teammates, help deal in some damage, and hold back the time that it was going to take Pirates to actually reach that checkpoint. Yeah,
well, Molten Core does manage to find one. It gets Tinner's Manus. A lot of it spread nicely by the waiting Orisa barrier. Hulk comes out, sadly detonated slightly too early to actually get anybody inside it. Dive comes out from Fact, taking the high ground. Brute on a bit of a flank, coming in behind them, gets hooked in, or gets taken out, and it triggers Disclosure, throwing in the Transcendence as well. So nice way to burn down those ultimates. However, a lot of space gained for Brute to get res back into the fight. Lids gets the supercharger online, but just too many kills, too quick, too thick, too fast. Pirates look like they're going to push this more or less uncontested into this final section.
And to be honest, Disclosure used that Transcendence to allow Dapper to actually resurrect Brute, because he can build them up so fast as well. He'll probably have one by the end of this fight, to be honest.
Yeah, well, here's a tire coming out from Carp 20. It needs to be a big tire to get anything done here. Looking for targets. Finds nothing. That's such a shame for that ultimate to go that far and go no further. Tinner's Manus now on the May. A couple of kills coming out from Carp 20 and Zjord. Molten Core in. Looks like it's not really going to get a huge amount of value. Finally, Hunters have the defensive advantage. They're not on the back foot, although, you know, I think I cursed that by... yeah, Carp 20 getting picked out from long range by a sniping Torb. Hulk coming out. Of course, there's never any follow-up. I've yet to see a hook come in on the back of this. Patchak throws in the self-destruct, gets the main healer out of the fight. In fact, now the only healer with Zjord going down also. We've got Reinhardt in and swinging from Fack. Looking to get a couple of kills on the back end, but taken out once again by Carp 20. The boop kill takes Lids out of the fight. And I don't know.
Another hammer kill?
Yeah, that's 8 hammer kills now so far on climbing, but does get taken out. You know, Carp 20 actually doing pretty well on the Junkrat. The tires have been questionable, but just the standard kills have honestly been pretty good.
Yeah, and it does help here that Hunters do have the spawn advantage, so as they're brought down, they can just kind of filter back into the fight. So Pirates are sort of fighting uphill battle, but okay.
Big Shadow comes in under the Orisa shield before it can actually land, and the ice, the blizzard coming out from Tinner's Manus fails to catch anybody. Tinner's Manus taken down. Carp 20 with another tire does get a kill with the end of it. That's something to take.
Redemption.
Yeah. Finally got one sorted.
But this now means that the pressure is onto Hunters because they have a hope of taking this map, then they have got to get all the way to the end.
Yeah,
And we've seen just how robust Pirates can hold up a defense.
Yeah, look, the question that I want answering here is, can Brute make it an even 10?
Can Brute what? You cut out for me.
Can Brute make it an even 10?
Oh,
He's
come on,
at 8.
gotta have faith in Brute.
Yeah, he's at 8 already. There's definitely space for at least 2 more hammer kills here.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Especially if they're gonna have an up-close fight like we saw, in Numbani. I think there's definitely room for some hammer kills in there.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder what Hunters are going to run.
What is this? This does not look
Brute.
like Scorpion to me.
Damn it, Brute. We were expecting you to hit an even 10.
Disgusting.
And you betray us like this? That's okay. Our producer has said he's going to fix it in post. I assume we're just going to edit in a little torb over the display just for the heck of it.
All right. Well, Hunters, they're actually looks like they're going to be bringing out a slightly more real composition, with the bunker. The only difference with this is bunker's quite hard to move forward, so they need to actually get access to the cart fairly quickly if they want this to really provide much value and actually get anywhere for them. And I think Pirates could easily just rush them, especially using the bubbles onto the Rhine.
Yeah, and just the aggression.
Wow, and the nade.
A massive grenade comes out from Disclosure. That's the immortality field down. And we lose easy too. I believe that was just a charge going right off the end. Brute now in the back. Not particularly highly charged, but still wants to go toe-to-toe with the Bastion. Tennis Manners trapped right outside of the spawn doors. We've got 3 minutes and 33 seconds of this left to go, folks.
And look how close Disclosure already is to having the Nano. You could just put that straight onto FAQ and have him swing into Hunters, and they pretty much be trapped in the spawn doors forever.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I mean, this sort of composition that they're running with the high sustain is built exactly to take this sort of fight, and Pirates are so good at running it that... Oh, well, there we go, though. Opening pick. Fact goes down. Easy to also. Respawn advantage is going to be absolutely huge here. And coming out, they are going to have the configuration tank. They are going to have the amp matrix. Brute is having to back off a little bit here. Just to buy a little bit of space to survive, but wants to get a bit of charge, has the full charge ready to go, nearly has the Graviton Surge already. Out comes the Amp Matrix. Of course, that does not travel with the payload, meaning that it's kind of wasted.
Bye.
Yeah. So long, Amplification Matrix. Graviton Surge outlocks them all to point. Johnny gets melted. Everybody gets melted. Pirates come swinging back in and just, get that team kill bell ringing.
And look, FAQ already has his Earth Shatter again, and the last time he used his Earth Shatter was just before he died because he Earth Shattered everybody in spawn. So Hunters were all stuck in there, sleeping and lying on the ground, and he already has that back available to him. Padshak, he's already been able to get multiple kills with his self-destructs, and if he can throw that straight into the spawn there, exactly where everybody's going to be, that's going to be pretty dangerous. They're hiding behind that shield right now.
Oh, right into the middle of it.
Oh,
but
they used the immortality.
Huge. That was such good places to pad. If that hadn't been for the immortality field, that would have been so much harder. But
you were already with an Amp Matrix.
Yeah, Amp Matrix, it charges so quickly, and we did see Reinhardt into Brig, Tennis Manners getting the kill there through the Amp Matrix. Doesn't have to pop the configuration tank form just yet. Might have a window now to aggress back onto the cart and try and set this pirate ship right back up and rolling again. However, still 3 of Pirates able to use that huge mechanical skill advantage to lever in a few last shots as they reach a hasty retreat.
Yeah, but now the Pirates are occupying that higher ground, this is a really good position for Brute to throw down his Graviton Surge the second that he gets that good opportunity.
Graviton Surge attracts Padshak also right into the middle of it. Desperate to get the kill over onto the Bastion. Finally, the Immortality Field goes down, and that is going to be Pirates coming back out on top. Easy too, the swap over onto Sombra. Already at 70% of their ultimate and climbing. Could be a fight winner.
It took Easy 2 a little while to build up the first half of the EMP charge, so you never know, but I'd like to, I want to see him use it at a good time where all the Pirates are kind of available rather than rushing into it. Because that would be the worst thing for Hunters right now, although he has been taken out.
Yeah, it's another immortality, another amplification matrix online for Zord. Unfortunately, taken out by the self-destruct. And there's going to be Tinnis Manus down as well. Zord does get rezzed back in. Graviton Surge hacking over the top. And it is a massive hack, but there's just no follow-up potential from Hunters.
There was no way they could follow up because they were all stuck in a Gravitron Surge, and this is where you have these breakdown in communication that really need to see improvement, because Easy 2 saw the opportunity to use the EMP, but there was no chance that anything could happen as a result, and no one's touching the payload, so of course it's just going to straight away end there, and Pirates are going to win 4-0.
Yeah, it's a classic game of 4 Overwatch in action. A valiant try from Hunters, who threw everything they had at this game. But as we said before, it's a very steep hill to climb, and sadly they just weren't equal to the task this time.
This is FAQ with the play of the game, just pretty much cleaving straight into that Graviton Surge.
Great cleavage from this guy. Always admired his cleavage.
I have to agree with you there, Phil.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I mean, what more can you really say about that match? I mean, it's an unfortunate side effect of the way that group stages work. It means that we do occasionally have these very intense, very experienced teams up against less experienced teams. We've said as much as we can about what the positives are, and I think there's kind of needed to draw a line under it, really.
Yeah, pretty much. And of course, now that is the last of Group 5. So the next games that we will be seeing here on the broadcast are going to be the playoff games. So we're not going to be in these situations anymore this season where you have these like big skill disparities. Everybody who's going to be playing together in the playoffs are going to be fairly evenly matched. We said it earlier how there's a lot more high skill players this season in Arena Clash. So it should be a lot closer games, and that's going to be something really exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is, unfortunately, all we've got time for today's broadcast. And as we said, for the group stage. So we're going to be back with you in a couple of weeks. We've got a bye week next week whilst we play some hangover games to decide the final standings of the group stage. We're going to be coming back to you from the studio, back over at Belong headquarters. We're all quite excited for it. It's a wonderful, magical place to be. But from myself and from Gio, that is going to be all for tonight. If you have been watching this and think, okay, the group stages are over, presumably there's going to be some more at some point. Well, you're absolutely right. There will, of course, be more Belong.gg Arena Clash tournaments in the future. And if you want to get involved, couldn't be easier. Just hop onto your favorite social media platform and search for Belong.gg and figure out where your nearest arena is. Come along and get involved. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Take care, everybody.